Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Dragon. I'm Snappy, and today I'm joined by my good friend Bruno de la Vega Garcia. How's it going, Bruno?
Hi, Snappy. Great. It's summer here in the in
Yeah,
South
you're
America
you're
now.
you're in the middle of the summer, eh? I'm still at the tail end of winter, so it's like, what is it, -18 right now Celsius?
-18.
Yeah.
Well, now it's 22, like 10 p.m. here, and it's like I'm sweating a bit. But this
Oh,
is the end of the
wow.
summer. It's the end of the summer. We're approaching the
Amazing.
autumn.
Wow. Gosh, I wish it was in a bit of a warmer place, but amazing. So happy that you could join me here. And aren't we blessed to be able to talk to each other from across the world like this, right?
I'm honored.
Amazing,
Thank you
right?
for inviting me. Thank you. I mean, well, the whole team is like very thankful about it.
I'm I'm
So
I'm really
thank you very
thankful
much,
to
man.
be able to talk with you, honestly, because you guys are doing something truly inspirational and you're doing something really innovative and creative, and you're putting in the effort and the work, and it needs to be highlighted and celebrated. So let's talk about who you are. You are the producer, Bruno, of this incredible upcoming documentary, Stones and Serpents. So why don't you tell our audience here today a little
Mhm.
about this documentary that you guys are working on?
Okay, yeah. Well, hi to everybody. Um, yeah, I'm the producer of. I'm one of the producers. This is a co-production that we're
Right.
doing with. It's like a triangulation, and we're doing it in South America and also with some partnerships in Europe, in the Mediterranean, in Malta Island, which is
Amazing.
it was like a very important place for us to be able to do this project. So Stones and Serpents is right now at this moment is being filmed. There's changes all the time. We already been doing it for um, will be like 8 months now. So we have at least a year ahead of us of keep working on it. Probably we will need to have another expedition to the Mediterranean. So yeah, it's Stones and Serpents is a documentary film that also uses reenactments with actors and with the musicians we are working with since the beginning. So it's a team. We are just one small part of it. There's a bunch of people working at the same time, trying to push from different parts of the project. I mean, because this is like this is just a bit of an approach before I actually talk about the movie because I cannot talk too much because the
Right.
thing is we are right now doing it. So it's
Right.
changing. We cannot, I mean, that's the whole thing about the project because we had a script, but things happened during the, these eight
As you would
months,
imagine.
like a lot of things. And primarily it changed because of the info we were trying to get to be able to do it.
Right. So we
So
should we
the
should talk
topic.
about this. We should talk about this aspect because this is what sets your documentary apart and why we're having the conversation today is that your documentary about the ancient mysteries is informed by our mutual friend, Dr. Ammon Hillman. And you guys have done hundreds of hours of interviews at this point, talking to him about every aspect of the mysteries, the Mediterranean, all these places you've gone to, all your reenactments. So talk about your relationship
Mm.
with Ammon and how he's informing your film.
Well, Dr. Ammon.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
for us. It's like he's part of the team at this point. So we're very,
Of
very like
course.
grateful. But yeah, I mean, we started the project without connection with Dr. Ammon. So obviously, once we start engaging with him, because I knew the work that he was doing, but I never thought that he will be interested to actually talk with me. So then obviously everything changed. I had a project that was like not very difficult for me to do because I've been traveling to Malta a bunch of times. The project was about mysterious stuff that happens to us, but not like the mystery as we understand it now. So the whole point at the beginning was we're going to do an expedition through the Mediterranean. I've been there a bunch of times before, doing different work, but filming sometimes. And this project was about going to Malta Island and talk about some stuff that happened to actually, like personally, to me in the island. Malta Island is full of
It's a
like
Crusader King
bunch.
island. It's such a wild
Oh,
historical place, fought over by everyone
yes,
since time
yes,
immemorial. I can't
yes.
imagine a more magical spot, a more contested spot, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing was, I had a script about it. So, if you're making a movie, you have to have some solid stuff, like this is the whole idea. We need to travel, the half of the team was here in South America, half of the team in Malta. So we need to meet this big thing that you have to be able to make happen, timings or whatever. But the topic at this whole organization, boring thing that I have to do, the topic was evolving as we were, as I showed actually the director uh, Ammon's interview, the first one that I saw, which was in Danny Jones, the first one. So I already was going to make this documentary. It was not about what it is now, but now we see it. It's completely, absolutely connected with it. The thing is, we didn't have enough information to understand all of this. So not even now, obviously, we're on an inquiry with it. So we get to the point that, okay, I was able to talk with the person, convince this person, make it happen, but with nothing very, very solidify, like it was something that I was trying to make this happen with the production, with the willing of, okay, this might change. So I'm going now for a week, but we are making the inquiry, we're making the investigation of all of this, and now this person emailed us back. So then I have to explain who Dr. Ammon is to the people he's
Right.
working with. So that's another big chapter of it. Like you have to try to make people understand a bit of what he's saying, which is not, you need a bunch of
But
hours
but
and
this
hours of like it will
oh
settle
yeah.
very slowly. So,
This
but
is a radical story you're telling me. It's a muse story because it's like you're almost on a completely different personal ghost story that's connected specifically to the place of Malta when this project is in its infancy. Now it's taken a complete almost 180 degrees, different direction because of Ammon and the inspiration that he has brought you. But that led you to all these other characters coming in and expanding the project. That's a really wild story.
yeah, and actually also was at some point because um, okay, I started talk with them when we were here in South America. I was not traveling yet. I didn't have any flight ticket, so he gave me like, let's talk. So I was like, okay. So I will try to make him understand what we are doing, but not even I was understanding that much. I'm the producer. I'm not writing the script. I'm not thinking the images in my mind as the director, and or the co-director or the musician. But at that point, as I was talking with them, like directly, obviously I became a bit of in the creative part of it, let's
Right.
say, because I was talking with
The
them and I was there.
intermediary. Yeah, yeah, you're the
Exactly.
translator. Yeah.
So it was impossible for me not to get deeper and deeper into it, you know. I was already very interested in the topic. I read a lot, so, but never understanding it from the perspective that probably the audience are very familiar with the. I mean, you can read the same text that whatever text that we can say, like tragedy or whatever, from classical tragedy. And actually, I read a bunch of them because it's usual here in Chile. They will teach you that when you are a kid, like
Right.
to teach you
You
how to
still have a
read or
bit of that
whatever.
classical education
Yeah,
left.
we do,
Yeah.
we do. So, but one thing is to read it, and one thing is like to be able to see that there is layers of it, and there's a lot of understanding that you can bring out of something that for you at first was just words. So
Right.
as this project was based in Malta, which I have friends now. I had friends before we went there. The whole part of organization of going filming, the whole landscape thing, and all of that you need for the film, it was easy. But the other part involved everybody before we went there. That what that means, what I'm trying to say is like everybody started to actually read again
Oh wow, they all got
and
inspired.
going in, bro. We will. Well, I'll tell you.
That's
I'll
beautiful.
tell you what I was doing, but
Okay.
guys will know I know that they were doing it also, but I started
You speak for
to
yourself, right?
I st- I started to write all of my dreams. I went
Oh,
in
amazing.
this idea, and I've been doing it for a year now. I used to do it when I was younger. Um, so I had some experiences with it. I have read about it. So then I started to do it very, it has nothing to do with the project. And then it had a bit to do with it because everybody was talking about this topic all day. I live with a part of the team. We live together. So obviously we are, I don't know, by 11 in the night, like Saturday, drinking wine and speaking about this
Beautiful.
mysteries and whatever. So you go, everybody started to go on it, and this dream thing that started to happen at the same time, which it seems like not to have any relationship with the project itself. For me, it had it a bit because I was able to have a huge record of what I've been dreaming for a year. So I understand that I've been in the same place like 3 times or whatever,
Right.
that has to do with something that I was doing in this reality. So obviously, what I'm trying to say is that the project became, it was at the beginning was okay. This is easy. I'm traveling. I have been traveling my whole life. So this is a movie of traveling and weird stuff in Malta Island, which is not easy to find. I mean, it is very easy to find. It's the opposite. It's very easy to
Right.
find, like if you know where to go, and there's a
But it's easy to
scene of,
dismiss or to overlook, or it's one of
yeah,
these
but
hidden gems. It's so small.
exactly. So the thing is, then I started to chat with Ammon. I started to watch everything. I started to read what the books, not just Ammon's, like things that I read before, but again with another kind of
Perspective, yeah.
exactly. And as yeah, Ammon was great with us because I can record everything we were talking, so I can watch again, and I can ask. So he was absolutely cornerstone, I guess. I don't know, just
Yeah,
inventing.
he was
English is
open.
not
Yeah,
my.
he was,
This is
yeah,
it was very important for me also because to sustain the whole thing. Because what
right,
happens is that I usually have to go and talk with somebody that we need. Let's say I need this kind of person to engage with the project. So I have to go and explain it. So you understand, it's not like the most
no.
easy thing, not at all. So So I needed to be like very like on point with why also for me, because I have to talk. So I'm not going to be inventing something. It is we're actually full on the project. So why? Well, the why is that we found something after this idea of Malta crazy stuff, which is a very good scene to do it. You can do a movie about it, like in Godso Island, which is a small island there. I had some crazy experiences, like not very, which I'm not very into, but for just luck, I was lucky enough to see some. I don't know what will be the word, but things related with vibration of the island, with the stone in the island, which
Yeah. We
there's
would
one of
call
the
those,
biggest limestone places in the world. Like they are very proud of the limestone they have, and they used to use it in like technology wise. Thousands of years ago, Malta Island has Stone Age history. Romans were there before the Romans. Like obviously, then we realized that the whole project we're doing is absolutely connected with everything because when you talk about, let's say, Greece at ancient times, you are talking about not modern
well, this is
Greece.
what I was
You know?
about to say. It's like as soon as you said spirits of the island of the stones, right? This
Mhm.
immediately makes me think of a place you told me you went to, Samothrace, and the oldest of the Greek mysteries, the Samothracian mysteries, because what are at the center? You
Ex-
have the Korybantes, these little elemental spirits, these daimones, right?
Mhm.
Who shake and beat their drums and rattle their shields and protect, right? So this to me, it's like I also connect this, in Roman mythology, you have the Lares, which are the spirits of place. This is something that's really important to my work, is I believe, in animism. And you've
Mhm.
talked to Dr. Ammon. He has a very similar perspective that nature is alive and embodied with spirit, and that you can communicate with the spirit if you are open to the perception of these different presences, and that the world is alive with being and consciousness, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And well, that's that what you were saying is like leads me a bit to what actually um, was the mechanics of it. Like we did this agreement, which is not easy to do because, well, I will tell you the agreement first. The agreement was,
Right.
um, okay, we need to be able to actually go with it. What I mean by that is, if I'm producing something, I need to actually know everything that's going to happen. So let's say we're going to this place, then to this other place, and then this other place, because it's very important for the investigation we're doing. But once you're there, probably something will happen because we were talking with Ammon on the road all the time. So I was connecting with him in the forest. Then if I found some freaking connection in a cafe in the top of the whatever small town, I connect with them. We talk, and we are here. We have this question or whatever, and he was like going with us in a way, like it was not all the time, but during this the whole expedition we were talking like regularly. So at some point it was like, okay, maybe, I mean, we knew before this will happen. So and it did. Like you were mentioning the island, that island, and that was not at the beginning of the project.
Mhm.
um, I had a lead, but then it became so strongly like the and I cannot tell much about what happened over there because this you
Part of the
are going to
movie.
be able to see it.
Right.
But yeah, the island pulled us in,
Okay, but
and
I
and
gotta
then was
ask
not
you
easy.
about,
Then was not
right.
easy to go out either.
Oh man, that's so
but
wild. Okay, I gotta ask you a
but
bit about this,
yeah, yeah.
because this leads me into one of the main questions that people seem to have about your movie and Ammon's work. Ammon's work is very, very broad, but he tend to have two central topics that he discusses most often, and that would be the origins of sort of the Greco-Roman culture through
Mhm.
this Pelasgian Bacchic Median Empire. And then the other one would be his revealing of the, the true nature of the mysteries of Christianity and their connection to the Dionysian.
Mhm.
So what I'm wondering is, how are these, like, to me, from what you're discussing, it seems like a lot of the Median Bacchic Empire stuff really impacted your specific documentary. So
Yeah.
like, what are you guys looking for and exploring in terms of the mystery? What were you searching for across the Mediterranean? How is Ammon's work coming into play there?
Mhm. Well, the thing is, but I'm going to tell you that like the how it started, I guess, is the best way. Like again, like before we are there.
Hmm.
So I was telling you, we had to do with Malta Island. So in
Right.
Malta Island, I had an experience like 3 years ago with a friend of mine, which is the musician of the movie now. And we haven't talked about any of these topics. It's not part of my life. I'm just traveling. I'm a diver. So I was trying, I always was trying to go to the Mediterranean when here is the winter to try to work at it. Never did it that much, but that was my why, like escape the winter, let's say, because I was all the time
Right.
working in summer here. So I wanted to
Love
have
it.
like an endless summer for a while. So the
I
thing
can't
was
blame
like I
you.
was well, and I had a very good friends at this point in the island, in Malta Island. So what happened to me had to do a bit with this. Um, I don't know how to say the word, but in there's a small island it's not Malta, it's part of Malta. It's called Gozo, and I've been there before a bunch of times, but I met this guy, which is a Maltese guy that was from the main island, and he went to live to Gozo Island. He's a musician. He does a thing that is called sound journeys. So he's a multi instrumentalist, and he does live music for people. So people come from every part of the different parts of the world. You go into the place, and he does this sound journey, and you people are meditating or whatever. Like it's like he's doing that seasonally and playing live. And he's my friend at this point. So he invited me once because I asked him, like I told him, like, we sold this because I was staying in this place and everything was about Atlantis in the whole island. I started to realize
Mm.
like everybody, and if you go to a hostel, it's like a not even something serious. It's more like I don't know, if you go to Easter Island, everything will be about the
The
status,
Moai, yeah, right, right.
exactly. So,
But
but I
everything's about
never,
Atlantis then.
but yeah, but there's something that is not very in your face. So
Mm.
I started to see it after I was in that place for a couple of times. Then I realized that lots of people go there because of it, from different parts of Europe, South America, everywhere, like going to this specific island. So I was
Hmm.
like just not taking any of this very seriously, but my musician friend told me like, "Oh, you really want to know a little bit more about this thing that is going to be?" Of course. So he invited me as his roadie. So to thing that he was doing with some people in some specific spot of the island, which is like in the top of a place, and it's like theater, but it's not very old. You can see that they did it like not it's not thousands of years old, like, but supposedly is located in some specific spot. So what happened that day, I was going with the things he needed, like the instruments, the gong, a huge gong he used, the microphones or whatever. So I was able to go into the ceremony that they were doing there. So the ceremony was a channeling ceremony, and that had to do with the Atlanteans. And well, I was the whole time there. I saw everything that happened. The people that was there was very into it. I was just a roadie, so I was watching from I was not engaging in
Right.
because after that they are able to ask questions and all of this. So then this is over, and I'm just waiting. Let's go, man. I'm hungry. So we went from that spot. to a restaurant after with his girlfriend, another girl, and me, and we went to this restaurant. And I started to feel that I couldn't like touch like the glass. It was this cup of wine, like, and I was feeling that if I touch it, I might break it. So like feeling very like I don't know, like when you're like I was not nervous or nothing like that, but when you're like feeling that you are not very, I don't know how to explain it, but I
Oh,
felt like my motor skill is kind of weird. So
okay.
I tell him like
Yeah.
Toran is his name. I tell him, bro, I feel like if I take this glass of wine, I will break it. And he laughs. Yeah, he laughs or whatever. Yeah. And he tells me like this specific place that we went that day, he actually doesn't think that it was the real deal, that
Mm.
what these people were doing there, but he's just doing a job. But the specific spot, he told me every time I come here, bro, I have to go and I don't know, go and take a bath in the sea or something because it's so energetically weird. So that was my first weird stuff that happened to me physically because I really felt it. And then and I was really feeling it for a couple of hours. And then we
Hmm.
went to the sea by night, which I love. I do that all the time. So and then I feel like okay and whatever. So I started to do these gigs with him as a roadie. So I was able to go into this sub kind of world in this, like the people that was coming from abroad. Actually, it was not
Right.
no you don't see Maltese people over there. I mean, it's a couple, but it's people that are coming from different parts of the world to do their stuff in the island because of the specific spot.
You're getting to see all the rich tourists at play, right?
Uh,
You're
exactly.
invited into some of these, dark corners.
Exactly. And sometimes you can feel that, dude, this is, but the
Yeah.
spot is real. And the thing
Mm.
is, it was a second one that happened to me. It was 2 days, and I was the 2 days on it. And that one was also something. Then I felt like, okay, this there's something not normal here happening. It has to do with I never saw it before. Well, it has to do with this constellation. You are familiar with that
Mm.
constellation work? Constellation, like
Mm.
it's some kind of therapy from
Okay.
the 40s or something. I'm not sure to be honest, but I
Okay.
was part
It's a
of
type
it,
of like new age therapy.
kind of stuff like
Yeah.
that. But this psychiatrist, actually, this
Mm.
Austrian woman was in for that day workshop. Let's say it was 2 days, and she was doing this constellation therapy. So a bunch of people goes there and they deal with the problems of their childhood or whatever through this therapy. And I met this woman, and when I would get there, I was the roadie, so I wasn't supposed to be there. So Doran, my friend, just went to do his job, and I was with him. And then I get to the door, and this lady, and who are you? And I don't have you in the. And I'm looking, and he's like, no, he's my roadie. He's "Oh, okay, come in, come in, come in. We need you, we need you. And well, okay. So I went inside, and then I was used for 2 days, bro. Like, well, it doesn't sound that good, but then like used in the way that you kind of represent. You can represent somebody's great great grandfather, somebody's dead kid, I mean child,
Oh wow.
son. So, but I didn't know any of it. So they ask you, I'm there, and they asked me like, "Are you willing to be part of?" Because I was not being the therapy was not for me. So
Right.
the thing is like, I was being a person goes tells his problem to the therapist. The therapist says, "Okay, choose somebody. She's gonna be your great great grandfather. She's gonna be your mother. I mean, somebody for your mother, somebody for your fear.
Oh,
Choose.
interesting.
You can choose." So the people is over there, and I'm there. So the person can come and tell you, "Would you be my fear, please?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay." So, So you go inside of this carpet, and in the carpet you kind of do whatever you want. So sometimes I was looking that way, or looking the other way, or sitting down, or whatever I feel like at the moment. So that's what you're supposed to do. And then the therapist start sometimes to asking you something, and the things start happening, you know. Not for me, but I can see like the people are really into it, like they're crying. It works, I guess, for some people to deal with it, you know. What I'm trying to say is that why I'm telling you this story is that because after when I was going to Europe to do the movie, we were going to try to go to this, because this is just one thing that happened to me. I had a bunch of other experiences, create like this kind of thing, you know. So everything it was written. I write a lot, so we had a bit of a script with this cool, weird stuff that happened to me. So that was the first
Right.
idea, you know, and that's why we thought, okay, let's go. The place is amazing. We can do a movie about mysterious things, you know?
Right.
But then I was started to understand what the mystery actually is all about, which is has nothing to do with, you know, with something mysterious. I mean, and that's why the project started to change from something that we wanted to unveil some weird stuff, cool stuff to watch, to something that is everybody's involved in a way that it has some influence in your life and how you are living it, to be honest. Like you
Absolutely.
actually, yeah. So, but that was the catalyst, the island, that year
Right.
that kind of stuff happened to me, because I was actually reading some stuff that has something to do with ancient technologies in the Mediterranean. At the same time, I was talking with my friend. To be honest, my friend was not very into these things. Me neither.
Hmm.
We were just watching something cool and be like traveling, you know.
Yeah.
So after I started to talk with him about this stuff, and he has a very deep understanding of frequencies of the island. That's why he's a musician. He's his whole family back to like that are Maltese, which Maltese people are connected with everything. Then we understood after how, you know, Malta Island is where Paul was um, wrecked. His boat
Oh, right. Oh,
is
wow.
Malta Island, and we didn't know that when we got to the island. We didn't know that. Imagine I'm talking about stones and serpents with a guy, and the guy asked me, "You don't know about the snake?" And I'm like, "What snake?" And then if you watch the well, this is a trailer that we have in online. You will see I was there 10 times, not 10, thousands in one square. Never saw the snake. Don't remember have seen it. I was going to Malta each year or whatever, going through that square all the time. First day we went there to do the first scouting with cameras. I see the how didn't I fucking saw this before, bro?
But
This
that's
one on
wild.
the in your face. So
You
yeah,
bringing that up, we might as well. We should play the oops, let me bring it up here. We should play this this trailer here that you created, and people can get an idea of what you're talking about in terms of this snake, and then we can discuss the trailer. What do you think? All right, let's go.
The weather in the Mediterranean can be quite rough.
We have lost the ability to execute or perform the mystery. And we have lost it because we no longer see.
People say it's not psychedelic, whatever.
That's awesome. That was an awesome trailer. But yeah, snakes all over. You can't hear me?
I cannot hear you.
Oh, that's so weird. Okay, let me see. 1 second.
Should I do something?
That's so weird. Can that? How can the chat? Can the chat hear me? Am I coming in all right, chat? Because my settings should be okay.
I can't hear you, bro.
That's so weird.
No, you're open.
Should we close it and open it again? Something like that.
Okay, they can hear me in the chat. Maybe try leaving and coming back. We'll see. Okay, I think he.
I think the old.
Both are good. We can hear you both, but he can't hear me for some reason.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, but I don't.
So maybe you leave and then come back.
I hear you.
Right.
I mean, I don't hear you.
Maybe leave and try coming back here.
When he switched.
Mhm.
When he switched the audio of the video, we lost the connection.
Should I connect again?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have the best technician.
Sorry about this, folks. We'll they'll leave and come back, and hopefully the audio will reconnect. For whatever reason, when we switched over to the YouTube video, he lost my audio. But we gotta love StreamYard, right? We'll work this out. We'll figure it out. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed that wild little trailer for Stones and Serpents, right? You really did get to see some of those snakes that Bruno was telling us about, and to imagine having been on that island, working and living there for a couple of years on and off, never having noticed it. And then the first day you go there and there they are.
Yes.
Made it.
All right.
Nico.
Okay.
Gracias, Nico.
Right.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Whatever. That's the only video we're playing, so it must have just disconnected our audio when I switched to YouTube. But hey, it happens. But that was
Thank
an
you for
awesome
showing
trailer, my friend. Really, really beautiful.
Thank you very much. I mean, yeah, when I saw it for the first time, because obviously I'm not doing the whole thing, I thought the same. Well,
Right.
like I was because I'm so like in different stuff that sometimes it gets me out of the actual images, sound, which I love, but I have to do so much stuff like around it, that when you actually see it and you see like, oh, this was, you start to remember, So yeah, we're trying to push it with a good rhythm, because
Right.
I understood I have to be patient. I would love to have it like already released, but this is, to be honest, this is my first time that I do this kind of project. I've been filming for like 10 years with different kind of stuff, like,
But never like
smaller
this kind
projects.
of producer work, eh?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest. Like how much things you have to actually get. I mean, if you are going to record one day some recreation of something that we want to show, as with fidelity of the text we are following, it's amazingly not complicated. I mean, it's not complicated. The thing is, there's a bunch of stuff that you need to have online, for that moment, for that time frame of, 48 hours, or 36 hours. That's a non-stop process. So if something is missing, is a big problem.
Right.
So yeah, it's fun, but there's a lot of things to be like on it. But we love it, that's for sure.
Well, that's what it takes, though, to get a project done, right? You need those mad people who can actually organize everything and have the wherewithal to see it through. You know, most people wouldn't or couldn't, right?
Mm.
That's the thing. But wild
Yeah.
stuff, you know. So you guys have started to you get inspired by Ammon. You start
Mhm.
noticing the snake stuff on Malta, right? So, like, how did you get in contact with Ammon, and what about Ammon's work inspired you, and what led you guys to go where? Like, in the
Mm.
trailer, it seems like you guys are trying to track down the original mystery. Is that the
Mhm.
impetuous, like, is that the main point of the documentary? You're trying to explore the mystery, or what are you doing?
Yeah, 1,000%. Like when imagine when you are somebody gives you a revelation, like what mystery actually was referring to. So the first time you hear that, and it's like you cannot let it. I mean, it's a word that we use a lot here in Spanish. Misterio, misterio, es todo un
Right.
misterio. But when starting from that point, how a word can contain so much information. So the thing is, when I started to, I was very into Ammon stuff. A summer that I was working at some beach, and I started to watch what he was doing. I was very interested from the beginning. Then I had these meetings about this project, and we couldn't crack it perfectly. The traveling, the weird stuff we wanted to film. And then that one day, I told my brother that I haven't seen in, I don't know, 6 months or so at that point. Have you seen this guy? So I showed him the interview of the first one in Danny Jones. So he sees it,
Mhm.
and he's the director of the movie. And now, so after he says he saw the interview, which at that point I have watched everything there is in the internet. Like I saw you also in Namo's channel in Lady Babylon like 3 years ago. I saw everything. But at that point, my brother hasn't. I couldn't make the connection, so he made it. My brother told me, "Dude, this is our script. This is what we need to pursue, man. What are you talking about me about your crazy stuff that happened to you? This is the crazy shit I ever heard in my life." So, so then, yeah, I started to think about, okay, but Malta and what has to do with this, and yeah, maybe we should go then to Greece. But then also, as Ammon replied to us, this was a one day, a specific day. I remember the day that he saw the thing, he told me that, and he was
Mhm.
like, send him an email. I'm like, dude, really? And I'm like, he's not gonna answer. I sent the email, he answers in 5 minutes after, and we were like, what the, And so I already had, we were going at that point. It was like the project was going for sure, even if we didn't have it like everything perfectly organized. I was sure that we were going. So at that point, he replied to us. I have a meeting with him like 1 month or 3 weeks after this, and this is exactly what I said to him in the first one, because I was all over trying to explain what we were doing. I mean, after the first meeting I had with him, I was like, dude, I completely blew it. Like I couldn't explain myself like very clearly because the project was not clear at all. But he was patient, I guess. So we talked for like an hour and a half or something like that. And then I told him, like, I remember the last thing I told him, like, Amon, thank you very much. Yeah, but he told us what you are pursuing is edge, is like, I think there's a reason why, and then I told him, because I thought that I was not very good at at the meeting. You know, it was a lot that I had to explain, and I had the feeling that I couldn't manage. And so I told him, okay, I'm on anyways. If you want to be part or not, just know we're doing it anyways. So I mean, like we're doing it anyways. So if at some point you would like to, I can write to you where we are. I don't have the flight ticket right now, but I'm gonna be in summer in Europe. I will be there. We're going to be filming. And thank you very much. Whatever. So after that first engagement, the whole team was already investigating it from that perspective. And what I think is very important for our, like, we're doing a documentary. It's not you need, your document is something. So you need serious research. Even if you like to have a very unique aesthetics, or you have ideas of experimenting with cinematography, okay. But if it's a documentary, you need a solid inquiry, you know. So I'm not an historian, I'm not a philologist. I don't, at that point, I don't even understand that much how philology works. So
Right.
when I talked with him the first time, I was already in Europe. The first time we have like okay, we're going to film the interview, and that was the first thing we talked about, and he explained to us how it is, what is philology all about. So from that point, we were absolutely convinced of how to navigate what we were doing, because if you have an idea as powerful as what philology does, you know, which is not about interpretation, it's not about your own idea, it's not, you know, I mean, it's perfect for us, because what we are doing is we're documenting, and we're just showing you, you know, physically, we are going to the places or whatever, but the topics has to feel, for us, I guess, it has to feel the same way. Like the topic you are talking
Right.
about is like you are going and you are watching it. You're not saying this, for me, this is this, and for, you know, there's not that much ambiguity on it. It's more like very, this is what it says, bro. So that's what
Right.
caught me, to be honest. Like when I met him and I talked with him, I don't know, like 3 hours, I was like, okay, this is completely what we need, bro. I mean, well, you know him. It's very
Oh, I totally
straightforward.
understand. And it's important we unpack a bit just the power of this tool of philology and kind of some of the basic tools that Ammon is getting at. Like you mentioned this briefly, right? You brought up, for example, the word mystery, mysterion, right? Well, we can take a look at this word and we can show how a philologist would deal with something like mysterion, right? So here we're looking at Alice, right? What Ammon calls Alice, the Little Scott Dictionary from Perseus Tufts. And so this tells us what mystery means. And it says mystery or secret rite, mostly in the plural, as in the mysteries. First in Heraclitus, of the mysteries of the Kaviri of Samothrace, especially those of Demeter at Eleusis. So right there, right? This immediately tells you what we're talking about. We're talking about the secret rites of Eleusis and Samothrace, right? We're not talking about
Yeah,
mystery
exactly.
as in the sense that we understand it in, you know, English or in Spanish. You know, we become so far removed from the idea of what this is. Like myth and mystery have a real magical understanding, and it's about invoking you into an initiatic perspective, right? And that's been completely lost, you know. But if you explore the philology, that becomes revealed, and you can see this hidden behind the plain text of these stories, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine, I mean, like, and also to be honest, about these topics, like going, like, let's say somebody never heard about these
Mm.
ideas. If you have like a bit of just a, not a technical understanding of it, just like the understanding of that there is some stuff that you actually, is this concept of, that Ammon said this once, which is like history is inquiry. I'm
Right.
paraphrasing, it's not something like that. History means inquiry, I think he said,
Mhm.
which I found so like, okay, then this is actually, this will give us an engine, you know. I mean, we are doing a documentary, but it's different if you are documenting something that doesn't move, you know, or doesn't not move. Maybe it's not the word, but it is happening, you know. We hear
It
that all
gets
the time. Ammon is saying every day
it
he's reading new sources, you know.
right, right. You know, it
So from
gets
that
even more
perspective,
wild than this. It gets more wild than this, though, right? Like inquiry, history, right, is a spirit. This is one of the muses, right? And when you understand this, right, all of these people who engage in the process of writing history, how do they begin their history? Singing me, oh song, singing me, oh muses, the song of so and so. It begins with an invocation. Right? Inquiry is a demon that possesses you. That's
shit,
what I'm.
man.
That's what he's
Yeah.
getting at. It's all
Well,
necromancy.
makes sense. Makes sense. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Can I ask you a question? Like,
yeah.
we were discussing the other day, and I was doing the search about this idea of the diamond,
Mm,
and which is something that is going on around us for a while now. Like, making discussions about if we are understanding what this whole diamond idea it is, or if it has to do with your own consciousness. Is your higher consciousness, or is actually an other consciousness in the middle of source and this reality. So, you know, Ammon told
okay.
me you should
Yeah. What
go
did
to
he
the
tell you?
pre-Socratic, but it's a question for you if I can't. I mean, it's your show, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, you know, Ammon. Okay, he sent you to the pre-Socratics. Interesting, because the way that I look, I mean, my thing is all myth. Like I love myth, so I always think about everything through the mythopoetic lens. And when I look at the daimon, when I look at the,
Mhm.
to me, I immediately this takes me into right all of these. You got to look at all the spirits of the daimons, right? The daimon gets us into some of the most wild magic dealing with the Great Mother, right? So, like for example, one of the big things for me with Ammon, so Ammon, he would send me into inquiry, and then I would go and I would summon the muse, and this was most 99% of our relationship has been this, okay. Besides, of course, he'd come on my podcast when he was less busy, but since you know life has taken off, he now, I mean, he maybe in the future one day we can wrangle him back in, but most of my relationship with Ammon, it would be I'd send him a question and then he'd send me a book. And this is what would be back and forth, back and forth, you know. So one of the big things that he sent me on was the quest for the you know, to he basically sent me on this quest to find the secret name of Rome. But while on the quest for the secret name of Rome, I found so much other things, you know. And the big thing that I came to in the Roman story, and I see this reflected in so many other parallel myths, but
Mhm.
there's a story told in Ovid's Fasti about the birth of the Lares. Okay, and this has to do with the goddess Diamuta, Tacita, the silent one. Okay, and this is also a parallel story of Lucifer. Okay, so I'm just going to summarize this story for you a bit. So the way that it works is in the Fasti, you have this nymph named Lara or Lala, the babble of the brook, the chatterbox. And she plays in the river Tiber with her sisters. One of her sisters, Juturna, becomes, you know, basically Zeus becomes enamored with her. And
Mhm.
Zeus decides that he's going to take her. And he goes to all of these nymphs and says, you have to let me have your way with you. And you should be celebrating the fact that I want to have my way with you. And he says this to all of these nymphs. And he says that he's going to take Juturna. So Lala, helps Juturna hide. And then she goes and rats out Zeus to Hera tells Hera what the plan is. And so for this, Zeus freaks out and rips her tongue out, and he casts her, they say, out of Olympus into the swamps of Later, into the hidden silent swamps, and she's carried there by Mercury. But Mercury takes pity on her, and they fall in love, and she gives birth to the twins, the Lares, right? And these are the spirits of place. These are the daimons. These are the foundational spirits of life, you know? And so what we're talking about is you're talking about primordial life energy in the nature of reality. And it gets back into this, you know, to me, the daimon is the basic spirit of elemental life. It represents the primordial thought, and it also represents all of the base elemental spirits. So within your mind, you're constantly dealing with daimonic interaction. We all have a personal daimon in a sense, and that daimon is a reflection of our highest self, right? So if you get into some of this magical work, you know, so that also takes us into this magical side, into the Neoplatonic side. So we have this descent into matter, the birth of the Lares. It's also reflected in the Orphic mystery of the egg and whatnot. But then the other way to understand the daimon and stuff is to look at the story of Attis, And this is best told, Attiscalis, through the hymn to the Mother of Gods by Emperor Julian. Okay. And Emperor Julian, he prefaces this story when he tells you this, that I have to tell you this because the Christians are stealing the mystery and they're exploiting it. And if I don't reveal it, then it will be lost. And he says, how do I utter that which is unutterable? It's a wild, wild piece. I always tell everyone to read it. You know, Ammon told me
sorry,
it was
what's
the
the
most
name?
important.
I'm sorry.
It's called the
what
Hymn
was
to
the
the
name?
Mother of Gods. Hymn to the Mother of Gods by Emperor Julian. Hymn to
Emperor
the Mother of
Julian.
Gods. Okay, Julian the Apostate, right?
Julian
The
the
one who
Apostate.
returned back to the pagan religion. Specifically, what's important about him is he was initiated at Pergamum, which is the seat of Satan in the
Modern day
Revelation,
Turkey.
right? But this is where
Yeah.
the great mother cult of Cybele is at its height. So he was initiated into the Sibyllian mysteries. This guy knew it all. He had the essence of the secret, right? So when you look at the story of Attis, you get to see the daimon on full display. So basically what happens with Attis is he's in the perfected all, right? With the great mother. But he becomes distracted by the beauty of the earth. And the story says that he falls out of creation, out of the stars and into the earth to chase the nymphs. So he chases the nymphs, but eventually he finds himself bound in the mud and the mire, abusing the nymphs and abusing himself, completely disconnected. So while he's bound in the mud, he looks up to the stars and he sees the mother and he cries out in desperation, So the mother sends the great beast, right? This is what they say. And the beast causes Attis to go mad and causes him to invoke the madness. And that madness makes him castrate himself. And this castration is both a literal and a metaphoric thing, because what he's doing is he's rejecting purity in creation. He's rejecting his debased masculinity in order to go through an alchemical transformation, in order to rebalance himself, right? He's going through divine imitation. So what Attis then does is goes through this process of rising out of the mud and becoming the divine feminine. And the beast carries him. Well, the beast is the daimon. The beast is the highest self reflected. It's that image, it's that intermediary. It's the you know, and we see this in so many different ways in so many different traditions. Like in the classical Greek tradition, it's the daimon. Socrates has a daimon, right? This evolves later on into the alchemical tradition. You see this as the astral light or the great mediator, for example. This appears in what's his name? Levi. Levi writes about this in Transcendental Magic. You also see this in the other big thing you see this in is like in Crowley, right? He talks about the holy guardian angel, but the holy guardian angel is the muse, is the daimon. And so this is both The daimons are spirits of the mind and of the air. They're intermediaries often, but they can also be elemental spirits of the earth. And the
Mhm.
personal daimon is a vehicle that connects you to the divine. It's that beast that raises you out of the mire and calls you into your highest true self, that causes
Mhm.
you to imitate her, to engage in what they call the alchemical wedding. The other place to really see this, okay, is you want to look at the character of Numa in the I love the Roman tradition. The Roman tradition really did it for me, you know. And King Numa, but this also connects to Ammon because like Numa back like Ammon freaked me out the other day. Numa backwards is Ammon. It's a moon, right? Or Ammon, I should
Uh-huh.
say. You know, Ammon
Yeah.
he freaks me out because Numa is just it's a moon backwards, right? But the story of Numa, the king of Rome, it's a mythic allegory for the ideal follower, like the ideal follower of the muse. How do you follow the muse? How do you be the perfected person to go through this kind of a cycle? And Numa is this, right? And what does Numa do? Numa does two important things that define his character at the beginning. Is well, three. He swears a vow of poverty, or basically like poverty. He talks about how he only eats the foods of his ancestors. He's satisfied with bread and water. Okay. And he goes out into the wilderness and he commits the vow of silence. And he sits by the brook and listens to the babble of the brook. Okay. Right. And he does this for years. And
Mhm.
eventually, the spirit of this river reveals herself to him. And it's Agiria, one of the Kameni, one of the Roman muses. And she inspires him, and they get married. They have a marriage. He commits to her, but this is also an alchemical wedding, right? This is his highest, this is the nymph of the river, but it's also his highest self. And it's also calling him into that divine imitation with the divine. All are true in this story. And Numa goes through this path where he's inspired by the nymph and she gives him the legal codes. She gives him these inspired books that become the foundation of Rome, that become the foundation of all. Now look at Ammon. Ammon is walking that path of Numa to a T, right? He went out and set out in the silence. He's given himself the vow of poverty and he's married his muse, right?
Mhm.
So the way that I view the daimon is is in three separate ways. One, it is the intermediate spirits of the mind, representing all of these intermediary thoughts, right? Anything that connects us to something else, anything that we perceive is witnessed through a daimonic energy. And then
Mhm.
second, the daimons are also the elemental spirits around us, right? They represent the base fiber of life, the basic element. So the stones can be daimons, the trees can be daimons, the air itself, the wind can be daimons, right? The
Mhm.
birds can be daimons. And then of course you have the personal daimon or the muse, which is that highest aspect of self. And this also has to do with the Orphic, that we are divided between the stars and the earth. I am a child of the earth, but my nature is of starry heaven, as we see in the Orphic golden tablets, right?
Mhm.
So much of the mysteries, you have to reform the divine androgyne. You have to reform the self. You have to connect that air aspect, that daimonic self, with the earth aspect, the bodily self, right? Just as you have to balance the masculine, the feminine, and the animal. Sorry for the diatribe.
No, love it.
Great.
I have actually, there is this phrase that I ran into the other day. I'm not sure like perfectly how it is, but it's like diamond. I think it's Socrates, eh? It's like the diamond is more. Well, I'm paraphrasing because I wrote it in. I mean, I read it in Spanish. So
Right.
it will be like the diamond is way more you or the person as any of the personalities of the intellect. which for me made so I'm not sure if it's Socrates or not. I think so, but anyways, the phrase was so on point for me. But when I was a kid, I was like introduced to some kind of not a kid, but let's say uh, 18 or something like that. Like to this idea of the body as different centers of the body. Like I don't know if you are familiar with Gurdjieff.
Oh, I love
But
Gurdjieff, right?
okay,
And
okay,
Gurdjieff was a Pontic Greek man. That guy knew that guy's a dragon in the fullest sense of the
for
word.
sure.
But yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
So
Love Gurdjieff.
I was led into that world by my father and my grandfather. So but mainly my father. So I wrote about him, and I was reading him, not Gurdjieff itself, because his books are they're different.
He's
It's like
usually best
poems,
read by his
but
students. Were you reading like
exactly
Uspensky?
what would you get
Yeah,
exactly? I wrote the Ouspensky. I
right.
read Ouspensky, and for me it was at 17, 18 years old, was like a change in my life. The whole idea of how to understand that different and differentiate about what is your intellect doing, your emotion doing, and your actually motor skills are doing, and how they are taking sometimes your mind is doing the job of your what should be doing your body or something like that, which but I don't want to try to go to explain it because I'm not a person qualified to do it. But
All good.
in my perspective, I'm very sure that I understand a bit of it because when I was reading this Ouspensky book, I don't know how to say it in which I still have it, the same old one that had my father and grandfather.
Oh, beautiful.
I have it now, and sometimes I go again with it because it's very technical. There's no everything is about chemistry. Is no you can actually understand what was pointing like about. You can see yourself very easily if you actually just um, understand where the how can I explain it in English, man? Well, it doesn't matter. It's not important. The thing is, with the connection with the diamond, it's like when he was saying like your diamond is way more you than your any of the personalities of your intellect. For me, it was like okay, there's a fucking. I mean, there should be a connection here because Gurdjieff was saying to us like you have a bunch of different people like living inside of you. It's not just one ego. It's a bunch of them or whatever, you know. And one day, today, I can say to you, okay, I promise this to you. Then tomorrow you will wake up and maybe another personality will be taking care of what is going to happen now. So it was not the person that was actually making a compromise with you, but you will have to do it anyways. So it's a mess because you are not aligning your intellect with your emotion and with your body and with your sex center and everything. So it makes a lot of sense for me at that time. And now again, like I'm going back to Gurdjieff now with the whole idea of the diamond. That was I was telling you about that because asking you about the diamond because yeah, it seems to be have a connection with some observer of the situation. Like
Mhm.
something is happening to me, I can put something in my mind now, memory, and create an automatic emotion, like right now if I want,
Mhm.
and that will create a chemical reaction in my body. So I can actually just be doing that all the time, and I will be angry all the time. Like if I'm just putting some stuff in my mind, so so it becomes very easily to like to identify that the problem is not coming from the cosmos, it's coming from an idea that you're putting in your mind at that point. So the diamond I'm feeling it has to do with that feeling that you have when you can observe yourself in the situation. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I can realize,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I
It's
can
the mirror
realize what
self.
I'm doing. I'm
It's the
watching
twin.
myself doing this shit. You know?
Right. Why do you think you see so many of these mythic ideas of the twins? Or why do you get these figures like the Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux? One is of the air, one is of the earth, and one sacrifices themselves for the other, and they go through the cycles of death and rebirth, so they both get to be divine and of the earth. This is the nature of ourself. We divide ourselves so that we can experience the totality of the all and come together in love. That's the whole unfolding of creation. The one becomes many so it can know itself in that cosmogonic or eros. Eros is the gadfly, that driving force that both leads us into loving wholeness and rips us apart, right?
Mhm.
Wild, wild stuff. It
Yeah,
all
both
goes
sides
back to
for
that
sure.
energy, right? And it's all about that
But
sexus,
do you
right?
remember the idea of the observer? Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But do you remember the idea of the observer that
yeah,
Gurdjieff had? It's
right.
not that a kind of diamond?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely, but this is also one step along the way, right? You recognize that you are the observer, because in the idea is that the daimon is the part of the self that will outlive this specific incarnation, right?
mhm.
So
Okay.
so our highest transcendent self, our self of the air continues. That perceiver continues, the one that perceives, right? So in some
Yeah.
ways, you could say that the daimon, right, in essence, is the all. It's the divine. It's your highest self. It is the perceiver,
Mm.
that which perceives. You know,
Yeah. That's what I
and
love
so,
the work of Gurdjieff because he was trying to tell you, okay, this is you have to do now. And this is from the 20th, the beginning of the 20th century,
right.
like doing this stuff. Like, okay, guys, you are able to develop your observer. So so this is modern, but I'm absolutely sure it has a direct connection with everything we're talking about, the classical world and the ideas that they had. Like,
Oh,
I'm
you just
sure
need to go
with
read. Anybody with ears to hear who's deep into this stuff, go read. He's ridiculous and he comes up with his own vocabulary, but go read Beelzebub's tales to his grandson with a critical eye
oh
and with openness,
yeah,
and
of
you will see all of the mystery right there. And he was a
I was too
pontiff.
young. I was too young, man. I tried.
Yeah, yeah.
So probably I will go back now to it because I tried. Yeah, and it's not easy to read. Gurdjieff like at 17, but the Ouspensky one I think is a good door to it. So
Oh yeah.
definitely I will go to now. I haven't
Now
talked
you
about
have
Gurdjieff in a
this
while, man. Thank you.
part of the whole thing with Gurdjieff is like he's trying to force you, the whole entire story is made up nonsense, right? But it's made up nonsense that's deadly serious and meant to be taken deadly seriously, but it's also complete nonsense. So this this is the importance of Gurdjieff, right? So a lot of people, they read it and they go, "What do you mean you're talking about Beelzebub is an alien from another planet and he's coming here with his son and that we're three-brained beings?" It's like, this sounds like the stupidest child science fiction, but it's supposed to be like that because it's supposed to break you into this kind of childlike thinking and to make you recognize that myth and story are about something greater than what they are, by making
Mm,
it an absurd story on its surface, one that you can't take literally, right? He's
mm.
challenging all these conceptions. It's a satire of mythology. Gurdjieff is brilliant, but he's not easy. And this
Yeah,
is what he even tells you. You got to
but
read
it's very
Beelzebub's
connected.
time.
It's very
Oh yeah.
connected with the
Oh
idea
yeah.
of the idea of the state of a human, like of a normal person. It has to develop itself. So like
The big
and
thing with
train.
Gurdjieff
He
in the
called
fourth
it
way,
in
right?
Spanish. In Spanish will be el trabajo en uno mismo, o I don't remember specifically, but it's el trabajo sobre uno mismo. That will be like the work that you do with on yourself, which is the
Right.
hardest one, and it's the only one, and it will take your whole life. I
Oh
mean, you
yeah.
have to do it but so it makes a
Gurdjieff
lot of
was an
sense.
insane
Already.
wild man, right?
Mhm.
Like I recently did a deep dive on him. We were doing this episode on espionage and spies. He was a spy for the Russians. But he did this as a mystical exercise more than to be an
Come
actual
on, no
spy.
shit, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because he was
this
an
was
insane person. He tells you this clearly. He goes, look at this. He goes, I want to be empowered to handle the most insane and extreme aspects of all life. I want to have radical freedom. How do I achieve radical freedom? I have to live on the edge. I have to throw myself in the war zone. So he spent 20 years in a war zone. He got in war zones as
yeah.
a spy. He got shot 3 times. And he says this was all for the purpose of breaking free of fear and living on the edge. Like the dude was like
Uh-huh.
his
You
magic
have
was
an
always
episode. You
radical
have an
freedom.
episode on him?
Yeah, we talked
Oh,
about
I'll
him
search
and
for
a
it.
bit about Crowley, about how a lot of this
Not much
magical
people
occult
talks
stuff.
about Gurdjieff.
Yeah, a lot of this
Like,
occult stuff comes out of espionage and military. You know.
yeah, sure. And after they created this other version of what he was saying, I remember because a girlfriend that I had like 10 years ago, I was trying to actually I show her the book to her. So she was going abroad, we were breaking up or whatever. So I wanted her to have a copy of it. So we went and find a copy of the Ouspensky book.
Mhm.
But I wanted the same translation, and you couldn't find it like easily. So I went to this place with the book that I had. So I started to see some differences. So it's quite specific in some stuff, that book, and when we're talking about chemistry of the body, the breathing exercise or whatever, or the law of the octave, which music absolutely connected with it, so it wasn't not the same. So we decided not to buy that new version, and it took us like 1 month to find the actual same 70s translation, which it was exactly the same. So where I'm going with this is that after, when he was not alive, obviously, a bunch of other books about him came out. For one was like how to create your enterprise using the Enneagram. I don't know if you say that like that
Yeah,
in
yeah, the Enneagram, yeah.
and they just completely destroy the whole point,
Oh yeah.
the whole thing, and they create I mean, I'm not sure because I didn't read it, but
It's
I'm sure it went to another direction. It
Oh,
was like
it's really depressing and wild because Gurdjieff is okay. Gurdjieff is a controversial figure, but
mhm,
he's nowhere near the controversy of the people that come after him that were inspired by him, because he leads to a lot of these modern cults because he
uh-huh.
inspires a lot of this modern guru stuff, you know.
Yeah, sure, I can
Because
see
his
that happen.
big things that he used to do is he would just destroy people, literally destroy,
Mhm.
everyone would, you're coming to Gurdjieff, you're asking for it, but this was a man who you're coming to face yourself in the mirror, and he's going to cause you to have ego death. And
Yeah,
this is a really radically dangerous thing. You can ruin a person, and
yeah, I'm sure.
Gurdjieff did,
Yeah,
and so
that was the point. I mean, he was openly
yeah.
saying it. Like, if
Hmm.
you want to do this is what you have to do. I mean, like, yeah, it was not about, and actually the historical context, yeah, but
But now
but
you take
but
this and you put this into the hands of someone who's like a true egomaniac, or someone who wants to
mhm,
possess people,
yeah,
right?
it's true,
And this
it's
is
true.
the problem, the people who come after Gurdjieff, right? None of us are perfect, but now you're giving people the tools of manipulation and
Mhm.
but there's all kinds of wild stuff. A lot of people have been inspired by Gurdjieff too. Like famously, Bill Murray is a big
Really?
fan of Gurdjieff. Oh yeah, and he's taken in, so a lot of the stuff that Gurdjieff does is he was always about throwing yourself into these situations and doing something about
Exactly.
embracing radical change,
Chill out.
right?
Yeah,
Right?
and you can actually, for me, let's say for me, I'm 17 years old. I have a breakup, and I'm feeling like the whole world is destroyed and shit. And I'm reading this stuff. I remember actually the day when he's talking about the consideration, how a person feels like the other person should considerate you, like, and how much pain you can feel about that. And he was like, Gurdjieff will say that all of that is just a complete illusion.
Right.
What you are saying is like zombie kind of shit. Like this is happening to you. It's not coming from any place more than your own willingness to feel bad because you're putting this in the, so it was like, yeah, I mean, so somebody can feel like, fuck this, I hate this fuck. But for me at that time, I have, my book is full of annotations and stuff. Like for the first time that I wrote it, like that I read it, I always say wrote and it's read it. And yeah, it was like, for me, it makes it's coming back to me now by what we're doing now with the project, because I'm seeing a lot of connections with it. Like that's what I was telling you about the diamond, like the idea of the observer that he had, which is for me the most amazing one, because you can actually put on practice that, and in 2 hours you are able to actually watch yourself just by doing some stuff, like what is happening to you, your anxiety or your idea in your head is just that. It's an image, an emotion, a chemical reaction, a movement. But somebody can actually be here watching it. And if that happens one time, the whole situation just becomes not important. So because it's just automatic. He was telling that it was everything automatic, that to the normal person is automatic, doesn't take any decision. There's no decisions in your life. And so yeah, it sounds very
Well, this goes back into these kind of cynic ideals, and into, like, in the tarot, this is expressed in the character of the fool, which is the god Dionysus. And Dionysus is, right, the god of the wine press, the god of peace, the god of revelry and ecstasy, right? He calls you into the song and into the dance, So, and you see this reflected in so many different cultures, right? Lao Tzu, right? The great sage of Taoism. What is his secret? Go with the flow. What's the secret of Dionysus? Go with the flow. Like, this is, what's the secret of Socrates? I know nothing. Go with the flow. Live like a dog. Return to nature. Don't get too caught up in all of this nonsense. This is the thing, is that in our modern reality, we've invested all of this incredible magic into the air, right? Everything is now got caught up into all of these ideas, and we've become so disconnected from what's truly real and tangible, the nature under our feet, like the great mother.
100%.
This is the thing. Like, I was talking to my friend Leslie the other day, and she said something to me that just like hit me to my core, right? And it was like, she's talked about, like, no one cries when we denigrate the earth, when we destroy the natural world, right? Yet a church will burn down, like what was that church in Paris? The Notre Dame burns down, and they raise almost $1 billion for an idea, for nothing, for God. When we're destroying the reality, when you're hurting the great mother under our feet, we're so disconnected from what's real, caught up in all of these fucking memes and ideas. We're so disconnected from the reality under our feet. Like, right now, these crazy Christian nationalists are about to take the world into World War III for Armageddon and flipping Jesus. And there's nothing further from bloody reality. Like, ground yourself in the goddamn earth. Like, we shouldn't even be talking about bombs, like nukes. Like, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely, and probably what I also think is like, obviously there is each person is like, you have well, I don't know, I always say responsibility, but that's not my favorite word, but
Mm.
it's that what, let's say what is written in the Apollo temple in Delphi, just like know yourself and
Right.
not much about anything else, something like that, which I love
Mhm.
that second part of it, like of everything else not that much, something like that, is it?
It's like everything else is, it's about moderation, right? Everything is always about the
but
middle path,
but the idea
Know that.
of everything else not that much, because in Spanish will be like conócete a ti mismo, de todo lo demás no demasiado. She will be like anything else not that much, like
Right.
saying, why will you invest your time in like do that? Know yourself, bro. And then and then so everything that is going on at any time will be related with how each person is getting into that idea, or into, like a hive mind, or I don't know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when you are not. That's what I was telling you about, that word responsibility, but which I don't like to use, because if if you have something, that's why it's important what you're saying about nature also. If you have something that at some point will be related with that you are doing a lot, it doesn't become a responsibility for you to understand that you have a relationship with the earth or whatever, or the water, the air. You don't have to work too much to do that. It's like very natural for you, but you have to have the possibility to do it, or do something that will give you that relationship with, that it will develop you in a way that you don't even are not even thinking about it. I'm telling you that because I'm not working as a diver now, but I used to do it. I did it for like 8 years, like straight, and that changed my view of everything, like in what you were saying. So it's not about me. Obviously, I have to now. I'm living in a city. I have to work on myself all the time, obviously. But
Right.
when I was working at that, with that idea of that, I'm going to the sea, then I'm coming back, then I'm going to the sea, then I'm coming back, then I'm going to the sea, then I'm coming back, and then I'm eating and having a laugh and going to sleep and do it again for a bunch of time as your work. What I'm trying to say is like, if if the usual person of more humans will be in something that will be related with nature in that way, it will not even be a responsibility. You will know yourself in the brushing against, because the sea is
Right.
rough here, like the Pacific is rough. Sometimes I was asking forgiveness, lost underwater. I don't even know where my clients are. 40 meters underwater. So like, and like, please, please, please. I'm sorry. I was so disrespectful and shit. So that's an intellect thing. But if you are doing it a bunch of time, then you create an humility, and at the same time you become a bit more not that serious about anything, but more free about mental not stopping voices.
Right.
So that would be something that will help the world like
Well,
right away.
you bring up so many good points and some really interesting things here, because like, one of the things that we see throughout the Western tradition, know thyself is the whole of the path. And yeah, that begins with Delphi, right? With the inscription at Delphi, and
Mhm.
with those, with the axioms, you know. But this idea of knowing the self, right? It also relates to other magical axioms from the Hermetic tradition, such as that which is above is the same as that which is below, right? And this takes you into this power of the contemplation. The whole purpose is you have to contemplate and know the self and create the self, right? The magus, Hermes, is the one who tells his story, who takes account, who uses the logos to create the vision that creates and manifests the real. And there's all this thing we want to come into, Crowley calls it the true will, but the true will is really thought, the daimon, being your highest self. It's going through that divine imitation, and it's coming into this energy where you are at one, living your purpose, but you were in cosmic harmony with the universe, doing what you're meant to do. And that is to be in that pure Dionysian spirit, to act without care, without worry, to be in that pure state of being where you are simply living life as meant to be lived in harmony with reality, But we've got so caught up in conceptions and in all of this myth, and it's even related directly into our language. We're all imprisoned through perspective, and language shapes and controls our perspective. Right? This is why it's so empowering, why Ammon is all about reclaiming the Greek, because to take the Greek language back is to reclaim your perspective. It's to change your entire essence of perception, and this is to change your mind, right? To know yourself, it's to give you new tools, So much of this is also, it's like about recognizing, like how do we, you and I, we can see the absurdity I was talking about, that Christian nationalism that binds people, but there are people who have been bound into it, who are going to go kill themselves for the name of Christ, right? How do you not fall into that? You have to know yourself, and you have to recognize the absurdity of these things. You have to cultivate the powers of reason. You have to come into real consensus reality, learn from history, engage the spirit of inquiry.
And absolutely, and also you need an idea of free will, also like an idea that like free thinking idea of, let's say, well, this is just personal, but if I converted now to Christianity or Catholicism, I can go and get baptized if I want here in my country. But I never was baptized because my father didn't allow for me to be baptized, or any of my brothers. Like allowed, I mean, like I have Chile is a Catholic country, Christian and Catholic, and so everybody gets baptized. Is like very not common. But my father didn't allow it, but not because he was telling me that this is bullshit. It's like you will see after, I mean,
right.
He got baptized to be able to get married with my mother, by the church or whatever. And he didn't care much about it. It was like, it's no problem. I'm an adult now. Look, okay, baptize me or whatever, So the point that I'm trying to make is that also the free will idea and the free thinking idea, I endorse that kind of feeling also, because it will get you into a place that you can be free of dogma, basically,
right?
And to be able to, to investigate whatever is going on.
Demonic possession. This is the thing too, is like people don't recognize the satire on full display and the veil that's been pulled over their heads. Okay, if you were to think about it, right, from the language and the magic, if we were to break free of the narcissism of small difference and apply the magical lens that Christianity applies to the pagan world to itself, Jesus Christ has possessed all of his followers. They've all invited him in. They've consumed his blood, and now they are slaves to that demonic force, imprisoned. And they continuously bind themselves through repetition of magic spells and through a portal that obscures their literal vision, through which they receive reality through. Like, this is the stuff that they claim the pagans are doing. They're doing to themselves.
Yeah.
Themselves, it's Sure, but it's literally happening in front of our face. But like when you start to recognize this, like we've been talking about the daimon. The daimon is the highest self. It's the vehicle of thought. It's the energy that connects us to the divine. And what did the Christians do? They destroyed it. They demeaned it. They turned it into something ugly
Yeah,
and evil. Right? They made
yeah.
it that which
If you
is
let's
vilified. You know?
if you think about it from the perspective, if I want to create a way to not make you go in and understand a bit much about you, like too much about yourself, because it's not necessary. I will tell you that that idea of the observer is a fucking demon brought
Right.
into your life. You need to
Right.
exorcise that shit. You know, like, no, that's bad. There's not an observer. The guilt you're feeling is real. so, so yeah, I mean, and but I'm not saying it's not. I'm pretty convinced because I was lucky enough to not have a dogmatic idea put on myself when I was, you know, and I'm not attached to it. You know, I can
Mhm.
find it if I think that I need it at some point of my life, which I don't at all. But I respect that. I don't care. But the thing is, like, you need the, the I think the best word is like a natural way of thinking, more than
Yeah.
you don't even have to, like, you don't even have to put too much on the on the key, on the human, you know? The
I
human
really
will
love this.
develop his idea. You know, like,
I really love this imagery that we get in the Roman tradition. Okay, so
mhm,
the tarot comes out of the Italian Roman tradition. And in the Roman tradition, you have this magical figure of the fool, right? Il matto, right? The mutt, the fool. And this character, right? He is the carnival king from the Saturnalia. He's the slave and the idiot who's now been given the throne. But this is the magic. This is the way that the universe works, is that all of us have that opportunity where we are all of a sudden are given the reins and you can take that leap. Can you pursue your desire? Can you really throw yourself
mhm,
into it with that full essence of your being? You only get one shot. You only get to hold that hold that energy for a moment, but we all get to embrace that carnival king energy for that moment. And that's that thing. If you can really
I see.
embrace your true nature, if you can rise into that height, you get to blossom. You know, you get to blossom in that magic of that empowerment for a moment, and then life continues. But we all get this experience. And, you know, we have to embrace the fool also represents the divine child, right? Which we see this in many different characters in the Greek myths. Inachus or Iacchus, right? Harpocrates, Dionysus, Zagreus, but it's the child to come. It's this energy of new life and rebirth, of going through the cycles. And we want to embody the magic of the child, because how does the child approach life? Without care, without worry. The child is in that purity of eros, right? They just go for what they desire without
Mhm,
thought, without care. And if we were in that purity of eros, what we really wanted, not what society dictates to us, not lust and greed, pure eros, pure will. That's what we're
mhm.
after. Childlike wonder and play. That fool of Dionysus, you know?
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Yeah. I think like the fool is like the first
Yeah. Well, the
moment.
fool is
Is it?
even more complicated than that. The fool is the triple one or the 0 = 2, right? So
Mhm,
this is where we get into some of the more magical esoteric stuff, right?
mhm,
So when you're talking about that great, Ammon alludes to this. Ammon alludes to this, but he won't come out and directly say it. But Hecate is what? She is the guardian of the threshold. She is the light in the darkness. She is the nurse that opens up the chaos, the
on the
womb of the
crossroad.
right,
I
the
was
womb of the
I was
incomprehensible.
I was reading about I was searching in the pre-Socratic, because
Right,
before I told you about the pre-Socratic that Ammon told me to
right.
study a bit of the, but that it was not related with the diamond actually, but
Mm,
it was related with this idea of the other side that I was going into it. Like we needed the that we're going into that idea of what is this place? You know, so
Right.
obviously you have the Mithraic liturgy, you have the, but you also have the pre-Socratic ideas, like which are absolutely like fucking. I was going nuts with it the other day. Like, there's a lot of connection with this whole double, even what people are talking about now, you know, like scientists and this idea of the string theory or whatever, you know, that you have now, and
Yeah.
which was happening. This is like 800, 700 BC or something like that. Like they were giving you some ideas that are
You know,
so sophisticated about
if you dive
how
into
this
the
whole
Greek
thing works.
philosophy, one of the things that was so wild is go into this idea of the dust. When like Heraclitus says that we're made of the dust, what is he talking about? This is a quantum physics idea. You know what he's telling you? He's saying that you are a particle and a wave. You are both matter and immaterial, form and formlessness that has been brought into a body, so that when that body disintegrates, there's still the formlessness, for you are dust, particle, and wave. This is a
And what
metaphor for, you know, that we've lost the meaning of.
yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I was like stunned by, like the idea of the memory, like
Right.
like you have to remember something, supposedly, that, but not in a like in physically. You need to go and remember something. If not, if you don't remember about this, well, you can just keep going. So, and with not remembering nothing. But the whole point was for you to remember, you know, like something that has to do with understanding how all of this is working. So the fact that they are talking about this the same, because what I would love to be able to actually, and what we are trying to do with the project we are doing, is like to take these ideas of the realm of fairy tales, as all the time Ammon likes to say, but the realm of, okay, this was some guys writing about some
Right.
shit, you know, who knows how long ago, to understand it. And it's not much time, like from that point to now. I mean, it's not much time if you think about it, like in with a different perspective. And something, they were getting into something that now we're getting into now again, and it's a gap in the middle that we kind of got a bit, not a bit, like completely lost about it, or not even thinking about it, and now we're going back to the same ideas. If you go
Right.
into the edge researching of the scientific community, that I'm a bit into it also, and there's actually, they're talking about the same shit they were talking, and
Yeah.
it's making more and more sense. So and for them, that was the whole point also, I guess. We cannot know, but makes like they're telling you by their own words, if you go and see the actual translation, what they were actually going after, which it was understanding, is what any human will like to do as a profession.
Right.
Like, let's understand something. So is every time we have meetings about the movie, about what in the what we need now, you know, we have to raise a bunch of things that have to happen. There's a bunch of problems, but the whole point, the whole idea that we have with the project is stronger than any other problem that we can have, you know. And it's like, okay, whatever, we just need basically money sometimes. Like,
Right.
and
Right.
you know, so you just go and you raise it, who knows how, but you do it, you know, like. And the point is not that. The point is, you are actually going after something that makes sense for all of us for some reason. you know, like, and everybody that is engaged in the project seems to feel that way, you know,
Well,
like.
this is such an important thing for you because I want to ask you about this because, you know, the big thing for me and what is always you know, the two big things that have attracted me and have kept me around with Ammon throughout all of this, throughout all of his work is number one was the magic of the muse, you know, giving people that inspiration, that 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 spark to go and explore, that ability to recognize the magic. You know, Ammon doesn't claim that he, you know, if you listen to him and you take him seriously and you try some of the magic that he recommends, it will work. At least it works for me. You know,
Well,
and then the other
sure.
thing, you know, and then the other thing though,
For me,
right?
Snappy, the whole thing changed when I heard him. I mean, I cannot, you know, I'm not into. It's not that I'm not into. I'm ignorant about this some stuff around magic or whatever. I'm very curious about it. I have some approaches with some stuff, but I cannot tell that he didn't inspired us. I mean, for
Right.
me, it was absolutely for sure. I mean, like, yeah,
He
that's
sent you the
one of
spirit of inquiry.
the
He
main
connected you
sources
to Leo.
of energy. For me, it was like he cracked it all. And then when, like, the whole idea of I'm making a movie, bro, basically.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you're not trying to change the world at the beginning. You're making a movie. It's a project. It's a business also that you are doing. But at some point, it becomes in something completely different, and that is absolutely related with the connection we have with Ammon. You know, the conversations has been having with him, and the actual freaking info, which
Right.
is like of freaking out of the top. Like, it's like you cannot.
Well, this is what I want to get to is the
You know,
second part
it's too much.
the work, right? Which is that, you know, what Ammon and Chewie have revealed, or what they're working to reveal, and they're not alone in this, but they're two
Mhm.
people who are succeeding in this, is exposing the pedophilic death cult that is at the pedophilic death cults that are at the center of our Western civilization,
Yeah,
and that have been dominating the entire globe and enslaving us all in multiple levels, both physically and mentally, right? And controlling every aspect of
well,
our reality.
that's a very important topic because
And denigrating the
obviously
feminine, for me, that is where it all begins and ends, is with that
Mhm.
abuse and destruction of the
Yeah,
woman, you know?
yeah. Now I understand. The other day we were talking about that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 100%. But I'm talking now as the producer of a movie.
Right.
At the beginning, I'm trying to explain this. You know,
Yeah.
like, you have to understand that this topic is cool. You know, like, what is it? Like, this is a real story, but you have to understand also that this is a bunch of
It's
fucked up
something
things
that'll
that is
really
going
shock
on. You know,
people. Yeah.
so I was very careful at the beginning because you are going to unveil some, you know. So how far do you want to go? Which it was the first thing when we had a meeting with Ammon, the whole team. We
Mhm.
were in an island in Greece. In the whole team that was there, we were just four, and we had the meeting, the four of us with him, and he asked us. Actually, asked my brother, which is the director, how far are you willing to go with all of this? So my brother was like, on to go, like, I don't care. I will go till the end of it, if there is an end. So that what that opened was this. Like, you have to understand, you have now a change on your whole thing you're doing. because it starts from some crazy stuff or whatever you want, but we're talking about 700 BC or even late Bronze Age, Bacchic cult. Cool. We love it, and then you're coming towards what is actually how it then is going to the
Yeah. Unpack this
degeneration
for
of
us a
it.
bit. Unpack this for us a bit, because you revealed to me that when you were in Greece, you guys even came into some trouble here, because this is something that anyone who's been into this kind of magic, I've been personally attacked and slandered and had to and almost had my name ruined. Ammon has had his life ruined. The cops called on, or attempted to
Yeah,
be ruined, lost his job, recently had the cops called
we
on
know.
him. Carl
Yes.
Ruck Carl Ruck, the greatest living classicist, almost had his whole career ruined and was only vindicated in elderly age because the science confirmed it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's the only reason he has respect, is because the powers that can't be cannot tell him to F off anymore. But they did for most of the man's entire life. But this is the thing, this kind of stuff that you're getting into, man, you're coming up to that, you're coming up to that patriarchal elite that dominates the world. Talk about this.
Well, and the thing is, like, as you are going with it,
Right.
at some point it's like, okay, we cannot leave this out. We cannot.
Right.
I mean, the beginning was like, oh, we're not touching this topic, obviously, because we are just starting with it. Like,
Right.
we just want the cool, sexy stuff that happened 2,000-3,000 years ago. But as you are going with understanding a bit more, without the filter of fairy tales, and you go, what is actually this says? What is the text giving us? Like Ammon's does. So that's why it was so radically important how it changed after we started to approach it that way, because it was all about there's no interpretation here, bro. This is what it says. And yeah, I understand that. It is, who cares if this actually was this person doing this exact thing that is saying this text? Who cares if that happened or not? The thing is, this is what it says. So that changed everything and that's not easy to explain. Because
Right.
people will tell you, okay, so, well, they will be just fucking lying and writing some fucking stories. Well, but the whole point is that that's what we got. I mean, this is what they say. This is the voices of themselves. That's what they are saying about themselves.
Yeah.
So what will be best? To interpret some kind of whatever
Right.
thing that you can imagine now. So that changed everything for us. And also it became, we're pursuing something that it will relate us with the truth of the matter, which it got was a degeneration. I don't know how to say it in English, like the word, but it's like it started for something that we will love to regain. But there's a bunch of time that it was
No,
getting
right. This is an important
transforming
though.
into.
This is such an important thing that you're getting at, because this is one of the rhetorical tools that Ammon uses, that empowers him, but then a lot of his enemies or his detractors run wild with, and it exposes them. So one of the things that Ammon tries to do is really not make claims, right? He reveals to you what the text says, and he reveals to you interpretations of the word, right? This word also means, like, we look at something like lestes, and we can see it within a context where it is a prostitute. We can go to Lucy and we can see it's a child prostitute, like it's used in this context. Sorry, the pirate thing, right? The dwarf kid, right? We have these characters and these things that are used, and we can look at it within that context, and Ammon can reveal that. And then what happens, though, is the audience runs wild with these things. Your mind jumps to conclusions. Okay, so what was Jesus doing in a park with a boy wrapped in a bandage?
Exactly.
He's purple all over him. But that's all he says, right? Ammon doesn't then jump to the conclusion, right? He doesn't tell you what the mystery rite
But that's the
entails,
whole point. That's the whole point. I mean, that's the whole point for yeah, exactly, bro. And for
right?
me now it makes so much sense. The idea, I mean, like
Right?
in the idea of so much sense. What I mean is not the action. I'm sure if you ask him, do you think that that really happened that day or whatever? I don't give a shit if it happens or not. This is what the text says.
Right.
Did it happen? Well, this is the evidence. Man, what else do you have? I mean, okay, let's interpret it some different shit then, and let's invent something around this. You know, so that's why for us it's so important with the project to make sure that people understand what philology does, because
Right.
that's the whole point. Is science. I mean, is you know, philologies you have all over. There's not much we have here in Chile. I have been interviewing some of them. I've been interviewing about, with the project a bunch of people, not just Ammon. Ammon became part of the team. You know, it's different
Mhm.
from just interviewing somebody because he was so like actually helping us, like
Right. He
in the
was
moment
engaging
we're
you.
doing it, you know. Yeah, because sometimes now people would like to be in an interview because now they know that we're doing something, you know. But that one from the beginning, I was like, I was telling you at the beginning, like I thought that I was doing very bad in our meeting because I was not being able to explain pretty much anything. But he was with us all the time, anyways. So that was very important for us. So now I can interview people because they know we have something, and obviously is the significance of the Ammon in the project is not the same as somebody that I'm interviewing now because he sees something serious in what we're doing. You know, he didn't know shit about who I am, who are we. You know, it was just
Right.
he felt that, you know, you understand that. So in somehow it became natural what happened, and now it's not that I'm defending anything. I'm just
Right.
understanding the craft, the ability that a philologist has to develop to actually give us something to humanity. So I'm absolutely sure that 90% of people, I don't know, I'm not going to say a number, but let's say
Yeah, a lot of people.
like they don't know what philology is. I didn't know before.
Right.
I've read philologist, and now I know that I love some authors of novels like Troy and Radio Massimo and Gisbert Haves and like different, and now I know they are philologists. So now I understand why that their novels about this stuff were so weird. But the thing is, now I understand the idea of it. So I think that is primordial. Like,
Oh, well, language is a weapon of control, right? And it's a way to empower story, and story can veil and can dictate our thoughts. And you see this happen in so many different places, you know, right? My degree in university is in religion studies. So my first connection to philology was anytime you start to study any of these religions and their orthodoxy, you almost always come into an occulted language, right? In the Indian religions, it's Sanskrit. In the Chinese religions, it's ancient Chinese. You know, we have Hebrew, we have ancient Greek, but they all create these occulted languages as a way to obscure and to control meaning, to weaponize these stories and to
yeah,
utilize it as a way to empower you. Like once you
yeah,
start to get really into the depths and to explore the metaphor, then all of a sudden you have to utilize this philology. You know, one of the things that became so apparent to me too is that this is the tool of the people themselves. Okay, this is how they understand their own religion. What do I mean by this? Okay, one of the most important books that you can read on Greek theology is literally called the Greek theology. It's by this Stoic philosopher called L.A. Cornutus. And he will just go through it. And what does he do? He does philology throughout the whole entire thing. Who is Hecate? Who is Artemis? Who is Apollo? Well, they're the ones who throw the lights. And we'll break it down through the grammar of the Greek, right? We can talk about what these powers are based on their philological roots. And he does it for everything. Like the dragon is the one who is unveiled, who can see, right? And they'll tell you this in their own theological texts, but then you'll have modern mythographers who say, no, the dragon is just a monstrous animal. It has nothing to do with being an enlightened being. Yet you can go read the Greek theology right now, and he'll tell you the root of that word is to see, and it's all about becoming an enlightened priest. The dragons are enlightened priests and priestesses, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another thing also that if you can like try to understand what the actual procedure or whatever the guy is doing, and you can talk with somebody. Like in my case, I was talking with Ammon, so he was telling me about I was asking him about the Drakaina, what it is, who is she? That was the question. Who is the Drakaina? Imagine, you know. So we talked like 2 hours about it. But the thing is, after that, I have read Aeschylus before. My mother is a literature. She studied literature. She's a professor of. She used to be. So I have all of this original stuff in when I was a kid. So I had the habit of reading. So I have read Aeschylus before as freaking story or whatever, you know. So I remember that after we talked about this and Clytemnestra comes to the conversation, and I remember her. I know who she is. I remember what I put in my mind when I was reading that when I was a kid. So I went and found the book after the conversation I had with them. When I came back to Chile, so it was like months after. But the thing is, I picked up the book, started reading Agamemnon, and then I can. It's not that I understand everything, but it became something so different to read, you know.
Right.
Like you need a bit of info. You need a bit of training to go and not to translate, like just to go and read a tragedy. Well, you need a bit of training, like to understand what you are reading. What is a chorus? So I was telling Ammon, what is the chorus? Who the fuck is the chorus? Every time I have to read the chorus, it's like, what are they talking about, man? So, and I talked this with different people around the project. Also, even in Greece, I was talking with this dancer. Like she was very into ancient Greek, but she had like one course or something. So I was talking with her about after this conversation that I had with Ammon about Clytemnestra, and even for her was like, dude, I have to read it again because it makes sense. I mean, she was why she was doing that, the way it happened. Who is Cassandra, and you know, like what she was doing. I mean, she was just screaming, you know. So you start like to what happened after to Clytemnestra or whatever, the whole story. That then I knew that Aeschylus was actually, he almost got killed because he was revealing too much about the mysteries.
Right, Prometheus bound. Yeah.
But you can read Prometheus and not relate. If you don't have a bit of training, you just read a freaking story.
He's not like he's revealing it in a way for the average schlub to know. This is the thing.
Exactly. So you don't need to be experienced philologist. You just need one to tell you.
Well, you know, one of the things that we've lost because of a lot of this Christian stuff, you know, we become disconnected from this. But a lot of this, you know, the Greek and the Indian traditions are intimately related. The Greeks tell us that the first Dionysus is Indian. okay, and that he comes from the Himalayas, all right? And then they have
Oh
several
shit.
epics where they go to India to conquer them. Okay, there's an intimate connection here. Dionysus is intimately related with the god Soma from the Vedas.
Mm.
They're one and the same. They're both the god of the dew. They're both the god of the drugs and the ecstasy.
What
Right?
about
And to
Bacchus?
Shiva.
What about
But
Bacchus on the Bacchae? This is
well,
related
the
with that.
Bacchus is Dionysus, right?
They were
Right.
coming from east.
They're coming from the east. And when you go into these Indian traditions, what do you see? You see these wild guys with the long hair and the androgyne forms, and they're engaging in this ecstatic
Mhm.
trance and magical dance, the bhaktis. To me,
Mhm.
I look at the
Bacchus.
bhaktis and they look like and they sound like the Bacchae, right? You
It
know,
does.
and
Now
they
it
look like
does.
the Sufis, right? Well, you look at the Sufis, okay? The Sufis, if all of a sudden you were to take that man in a dress and change it into a woman, put a different kind of hat on, put some bells on, it would look exactly like many of
Yeah,
these Dionysian
yeah,
craters that we see with these
yeah.
ecstatic
The
maenads.
Sufi dances were like, yeah. Well, you have the circle one, but you have the
Yeah,
other ones.
yeah,
What like very related with Armenian and with Gurdjieff also.
exactly.
but,
Go into the
but
Pontic Greek, right? All of
yeah.
this stuff is like a lot of scholars will actually argue that the word Sufi isn't actually an Arabic word, but it's a corruption of the Greek Sophia, right? And that the
Mm,
Sufis were mystics who found a way to survive under the extremes of Islam, to maintain their mystical pagan character, even through the intensity of that oppression. They just,
amazing,
we've always been worshiping the one.
amazing.
So we'll just
So,
switch it,
so Snappy, if you're tracing then the Baka and the Bacchus, that's something you think is like they're coming from India.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's an
Absolutely.
intimate connection here, beyond a doubt. The Greeks
Guys are
tell
gonna
us
be
that
crazy about this.
Dionysus is the Xenos. He's the foreign man. He comes from the
But,
east. The
but
Dionysian cult is a
yes,
foreign cult.
yes.
Yeah.
But this whole Bacchus word
Mm.
that we know that doesn't they don't know where that word comes from.
Right.
We know what they were saying, like Euripides was saying they were coming from Asia or whatever. Like that's what we know, but he doesn't have like Greek root. The idea of Bacchus, isn't it?
Yeah. Bacchus. Yeah.
It was coming. It was a foreign idea of the Bacchae were coming here. It was a foreign kind of worship and ecstatic
Well, let's
whatever
look at this
thing.
word though, Bacchus, right? It means the howl, the howler, the yell, right? The
Mm.
roar. And this has to do with, this takes us also, you get into some of the Eleusinian mystery with Bromios and Bromo, Hecate and Dionysus. But if we're looking in the Eastern traditions, who's the howler in the Vedic tradition? We have Rudra, right? And Rudra is
Okay.
the one who comes to upset the sacrifice. He represents the chthonic other. Who is Dionysus and Hecate in some aspects, but the chthonic other, the ones who wrecked the sacrifice. There's this intimacy of connection here. And later on within the Indian tradition, Rudra often and Soma becomes syncretized with Shiva. And if you look at Shiva and you compare him to Dionysus, it's like they're both running around
It
in
becomes
leopard
syncretized.
skins.
It
Yeah.
becomes syncretized with
Well, so
Shiva.
so what you see across the Indian tradition is like in the earliest traditions you have the Vedas and then you have the epic traditions. And a lot of these characters in the epic traditions are very minor in the Vedas or non-existent. And so what ends up happening is a lot of these characters become syncretized with earlier Vedic figures.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Shiva, and this is not true of all traditions, but because we're talking about, when you're talking about Hindu, you got to talk about Hinduisms. You got to talk about,
Mhm.
India is a continent, but so a
Yeah,
lot of people though, they
and
will
it's
equate,
old, very old.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. But some of these people will equate Rudra, Soma, and Shiva as the same energy, as the same divinity, right? And to me, I look at this, and this is the most Dionysian trinity imaginable. You got the howler, the one who comes to upset the status quo, and the roarer. You've got Dionysus, or sorry, you've got Shiva, who is this wild man, god of the woods, the perfected yogi, who's always engaged in these entheogenic practices with snakes and always engaged in the dance, you know? And also
It's
we
true.
have the, you know, the main myth, or one of the main myths of Shiva is called the Parvati Darpana, the marriage to Parvati, right? And to me, I read that story and it is another retelling of the story of the Kori, but through a different lens, where instead of an abduction, it's a ravishment, where she falls in love with the wild man of the woods and she leaves her family to go be with the wild man of the woods, you know? And there's a marriage where you unite these two and it becomes a holy thing. The marriage of Parvati and Shiva is the unity of the male and the female and the unity of the chthonic and the Olympian, right?
Yeah.
It's that coming together and reformation of the divine androgyne. And I think that a lot of this stuff had been occulted within the Greek tradition, but it's been lost, you know, it's been lost. And
Mhm.
we, you know, a part of it too is like, Ammon will allude to this, you know, we have, like I told you, the story of Attis, right? Which is,
Yeah.
we would call the male path. The male path, like that absolute masculine, has to reject its pure, it has to reject its virility, it has to discard its greed, its masculine energy, and become the divine feminine,
Yeah.
right?
You gave me the opposite example
Right.
the other day also,
Right,
which makes a lot
exactly.
of
So
sense.
this is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at, right? So with that story of the Kori, right? So for the masculine, the loss of the penis, the castration is the greatest fear, right? It's the death of the
Mm.
ego and it's the transformation of the self. The masculine must become feminine in order to become whole and must reject himself. But the true is the same of the feminine. But this has been lost and obscured because we've denigrated the story of the Kori and we've denigrated the story of Medea. We've divided these characters and separated them when they are at once one and united. And if you take that story of the Kori and you connect it to Medea, then you get the completion of the full cycle. You get to see the feminine parallel, right? As we talked
Yeah.
about the other day, right? Persephone
Mhm.
is abducted, but then what does she do? She overthrows the chains. She becomes the queen of the underworld. She becomes that empowered masculine. She reclaims her own power, right? The thing for the feminine is they have to reject the servile nature. They have to become the king, the emperor. They have to build the city. That's what Lady
Mm.
Babylon does. She empowers herself and takes control of her own life. Just as the masculine needs to learn how to submit, learn how to love, learn how to be in that subservient role, the feminine has to learn how to dominate and control. But
Mhm.
if you balance both these poles, you create the holistic self. You go through that cycle of earth and sky, right? You unite the masculine, the feminine, and the animal, right?
Yeah. Well, that's actually what you are saying is one of the main also ideas that is given engine to what we're doing. Because not because from the beginning, just because what it
Mm.
was going, the research that was going on, like dude, this how we don't know about this. Like, actually, that was the first time I talked with Ammon. Like the first interview, I was like, so I mean, like, why the fuck we don't know about this? I mean, like the whole female tradition, like the priesthood, I mean, the priestesses, the institution of the oracle, like, what the fuck is all this information? You should have known this from school, you know? But yeah, as you're saying, that was deliberately, or I don't know if it was just in one generation. We know it wasn't. It was like during hundreds of years, but it got buried somehow.
We
Actually,
got to talk about, you know, I don't, you know, the feminine had been completely oppressed and destroyed. And this
hmm
was something that occurred over thousands of years as part of the Greek tradition too, you know, and we have to
yeah,
acknowledge and deal with this. One of the things that you can see is like, you can see this full on display. You went to Delphi.
yeah,
Apollo is not the origin of Delphi, right? In the masculine version of that story,
Mhm.
Apollo comes and he slays the demon Python and he cleanses the oracle and he
yeah,
claims power. That's not the story. The story is he kills the earlier goddess, the dragon Delphine, and he
Yeah.
steals the power from Themis and Phoebe, his grandmother. Okay,
Yeah.
and
The
then
thing is, who was the
right,
dragon?
who was the
Who
dragon?
who
Delphine.
what it was a man?
No, it was a woman. It
It
was a
was a
woman.
woman. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But the
not
thing is that
Python.
you need to to like that's what this is all about. Like to
Right.
understand what they were telling, the story is there, bro. I mean, the dragon was a
Let me
priestess.
tell you though some of that wild occulted stuff. Okay, so remember I told you that Ammon sent me on that journey to find the secret name of Rome, and it led
Mhm.
me into all this stuff. So one of the characters that I became obsessed with following is the goddess Themis, the goddess of order, right? So in the story, right, the first oracle at Delphi is Demeter, and then Demeter gives it to Themis. Themis is Delphine. Themis is the dragon. Apollo, though, he doesn't kill her, right? They say he kills her and he slays her. No, 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 no. What happens in the story, it gets weird. And you get the end in the Roman tradition. So
Mhm.
if you follow Themis in the Roman tradition, she is again this Diamuta type character. All of a sudden, she gets connected with Hermes Mercury. She gives birth to a magical son. Okay, and the magical son, Evander and Hera take off after the destruction of Delphi, and they go to Rome. And what do? They go to Rome and they hook up with the king Faunus, and the king Faunus grants them grants them the Palatine Hill. The Palatine, you can go see this to this day. This is where the seat of Christianity is. So these early Pelasgians, the goddess Themis, the nymph who
Mhm.
founded Delphi, comes with her secret son, the child of Hermes, goes to the site of Rome and builds a city there called the Palladium. Builds a city there called the Palladium, and they institute the worship of Pan and the wolf cult to
Bang.
Apollo.
Okay.
But this is what we see. So
Yeah.
that Venus god, right? She gets displaced to Greece, but then that energy moves. It moves and it founds Rome. And this is something that you can follow, is you can follow
Huh.
this spirit of liberty, of justice, of decay, of Themis. Who is the goddess of America? Ask yourself these kinds of questions. And now the question is, where does she go next? But if you follow
Mhm.
Themis, then you can see where the next empire will rise. Whoever has
Mhm.
that energy has the order.
Themis. Mhm. It hasn't. I mean, of course, I've heard about
Megalithic.
Themis, but we haven't been deep on that one. Though
Ask Ammon
the
next
movement
time.
the movement of the Pelasgians, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
like it's like we don't know if they were all over or they were like in the Mediterranean moving by sea. We know that they were called like people of the sea or whatever. But at the same time, there's a connection continentally with
Have you
Etruria.
been following have you been following Old Boy's work at all on this?
Old boys,
So
no.
Old Boy is one of
Old boy.
Ammon's students. Old Boy,
Okay, okay. I don't.
Auldboy. And
I
he got
don't.
really,
I
really
will.
interested in the Pelasgians. He's writing a book on this.
Really?
Really interesting. Yeah, I'll
Well,
send you his. You should talk
that
to him.
changed our whole thing when we were recording, and the Pelasgian word came. It changed everything. I cannot tell you much about it because that's the
You're
one of
right.
the actually, yeah, the Pelasgian thing for us changed everything because it connected the whole Mediterranean,
Oh yeah, right. You can find because this is the
through
big key.
time, and also
So
through
the
time.
right. So what Old
Mhm.
Boy showed me in his research is that
Oh boy.
when you start to dive into the Pelasgians, okay, what is the uniting archaeological feature of
Oh
the Pelasgians? What is the uniting archaeological feature? It is the Prytaneum, the hearth. So if we go back to the earliest Pelasgians, it starts actually before Pelasgus himself. If you look like in Apollodorus, we have this founding figure called Phoronesis. And Phoronesis is born of the nymph born of the river Inachus, and he gets inspired by the goddess Hera, and he builds the first temple to Hera, and then he builds the first temple to Hestia. And what they also say is he sets up the colonies. So what they would do is anytime they would create a colony where they're going to build a new Greek city, what you would do is you would take your torch and you would light it at the hearth of Hestia in this temple, the Prytaneum, and then you would go and you would build a new city, but in the center would be the Prytaneum. You'd build another hearth and you would light that hearth with the original spark that Phoronesis got from the goddess herself. And so all of these, according to the myth, all of these Pelasgian city sites were connected by the same fire. But what we do know
okay.
for 100% is that they all have these hearths. We keep finding in the ancient archaeology all across the Mediterranean, as far as Baluchistan in Pakistan, okay, these hearths. And what you'll see that the uniting feature of the Pelasgians is that they bury their dead in the hearth too. So
Okay.
not only do they cook their food here, not only is this the
Because
center,
because we know they were obviously nomadic.
right, but they would have
So
these center, they had these little center villages where, because the hearth is where you would cook your bread, and it's also
okay.
where you cremate your dead,
And how
and it
do
was
you
where you
make a
did your
connection?
politics.
You make a
This is
connection with this with because this is the thing that was like kind of appearing to us like because we're in the Mediterranean, we're filming
right,
at sea, we're
right,
filming in a boat a bunch of time,
right.
so we're moving through the sea, so but not all the time. But then when all of this started happening, like from somewhere it came here. Then this Pelasgian influence got here from maybe northeast, and we can find this same idea in Italy, like Etruria, like with the Etruscan stuff, very much alike as the islands in the Aegean, like Lemnos, Samothrace, and all those islands that they were doing some stuff that is pretty connected with these nomadic tribes, the knowledge of the plants, the knowledge of the drugs, all of that. So
Mhm.
you see like, because I have these two stuff going around my head, like Pelasgian, as the Greek were referring, for them were like some kind of the indigenous people of the
Yeah, they were
place.
the pre-Greeks, they call them, right? Yeah,
And at the same time, there seem to be connected with these traditions from the continent on
right,
the north, which is these horse tribes and this knowledge about drugs. But we don't have temples or anything because they're nomadic horse tribes or whatever. So there is like
right,
some kind of different, like they're inland, but these guys went at sea, so,
right.
but coming from the same probably um, root. What I mean is like same traditions, same knowledge
Absolutely,
about,
absolutely.
so
Yeah,
it's
they had
crazy
this, we got to remember, right? We're all coming from primordially from Africa, right? If you follow these ancient traditions to their absolute oldest, right? If you like take this magical route and you really go listen to the texts, where do they tell you it goes? It goes to Egypt, but not just Egypt, it goes past Egypt. It goes to
Mm,
Siwa, the oracle at Siwa in Libya. This is
Libya,
where you find the original cult of Ammon.
North
But you
Africa.
also found, what you find there is this goddess Neith. And this is
Mhm.
where things get really wild. So there's this amazing scholar that I love named Dr. Carla Ionescu, and she's a worshiper of Artemis. And she's been doing this massive study where she's been documenting every single Artemis temple that she can find across the Mediterranean. And she's been looking into the earliest roots. And she identifies the earliest roots of Artemis in two figures, Neith in the Egyptian and Potnethera in the Cretan. But if you look at this
Okay.
goddess of
Minon.
Neith, Neith is wild because Neith is a 1 point, so she is a virgin creatrix So this is where things get really wild. They call her this beetle of the Nile, but the metaphor is that she calls the light from the darkness. She doesn't give birth because she exists prior to birth itself. She calls the sun out of the primordial waters. So she's the Virgin Mother, Diana. This is Artemis, the Virgin Mother, Hecate, that light that calls life in from the darkness. But get this, beneath gets even wilder. She's a goddess of the wilderness, and she wields the bow and the arrow, and she's connected to Ammon. She is the mother at the cult of Ammon in Siwa, right? So what I think is that the Pelasgians, they represent a version of this ancient African cult that managed to preserve their ancient tie. And why they become so interesting is they develop the sea craft and start developing these colonies all along the Mediterranean. So they're sharing their magic knowledge everywhere.
You see them coming from the North Africa to the sea, and then to the continent, the European continent.
Well, the other big thing that we see when we look at the magical traditions, they talk about how the alchemical magic comes from two sources. It comes from Egypt, and it comes from the Medes, the Magi. But the Magi also represent this Egyptian tradition, because this is the essence of that character of Medea. She is the uniting of East and West, because she represents the Colchian magic, uniting with the magic and creating that absolute empowered mystery. So the mystery is an evolution. It doesn't exist in the ancient past. It comes about as a technological evolutionary construct of East meets West. Of where Africa and ancient India connect.
Yeah. And, I was remembering something now. We did an interview to a Maltese guy. He's living in Australia, so I was making it was online. But through our contact, we talked with him, and he was, very interested in these ideas. And I wanted to know, Malta has prehistoric history, and Malta is Tunisia is like
right there. So it might as well be North African, right?
And you know what you have to the other side, you have Italy, Sicily, the continent.
Right in the middle.
It's the middle of it. So he told, I was going to ask you if have you heard about this Sekhmet name?
Sekhmet. So, Sekhmet, right, is the cat goddess and is often equated within the literature to Medea, Lady Babylon, Artemis. For example, you see this. Also, Bastet is equated with Artemis as well.
But you know how crazy is what you're saying to me now?
Okay, you got to check out.
Because what I didn't know it, I just did the interview, and I was like, we're doing this movie or whatever, and talking about, because I wanted to ask him about power places in the Gozo Island, the places that they were worshiping the oracles, because they had oracles in Malta Island. They had, that we realized that we were there, bro. I was just wanting to be in Malta at first to record some stuff, pick up the boat, because I had that connection over there to get the actual sailing boat to do the whole thing. And then in Malta, we realized that the whole oracle idea was very, very much it was there. So he was talking about this specific goddess and how he actually saw her. It's like a 2 hours conversation about what happens to him with it.
So this is something that's well accepted within the magical traditions. Okay, so Crowley, for example, equates Sekhmet directly with Lady Babylon, with Medea, and just calls it out. I have a tarot deck right here, called the Egyptian Tarot of Selima, and the number 8 card, the Lust. And the way you understand this is you got to go to the astrology. The astrology will tell you clearly. If you read the astrology in both the Egyptian and the Greek, then it makes sense. Who is Sekhmet? Who is Lady Babylon? Leo and Virgo united. You take the Leo, You take the Virgo and you have her ride the Leo. Now all of a sudden you got Lady Babylon. And that's what Sekhmet is. It's the Virgin united with the power of the Leo. And that's it. These are all, it's astrological magic, you
I
know?
think this guy knew. I think this, now that we're talking, I think this guy knew, because I was trying to lead him in the conversation to something that has to do with what we were doing, you know. I
Right.
don't know any of this. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, Egyptian or whatever, but we're talking about this other thing. So I was trying to like talk about something that we will, and then he started to talk about this segment,
Right.
woman that he saw. And then he started to talk about a place that the water that was coming from that place was the water that he called it this. I'm going to tell you now this because I connected that with just about that. He told us that it was the water of life. So I was like, you're talking about can you understand like what I thought at that moment? Like the water, sorry, the what? The water of life. And this was a woman, and you saw her and whatever, and he was like, yeah, and that place is in Gotso, in this cliff, in this specific spot, in this one. And I was going there. I was living in the island because of that, and he was like very like, I don't know, like I don't know the guy, you know. It's just I had the interview with him because of another person that connected me with him. So, but I have the interview, but we haven't give much thought to it. But what you were saying about this idea that from North Africa, the ocean, the connection with Libya and everything, I remember about this interview, and he was talking about Sekhmet as a woman that was living where the water of life was this streaming kind of thing, you know. So you will go to this stream that you cannot see. So he was saying that if I was going there, I will not see the water. It's not
Right.
like actual water. So you know, you tell me it's well, it's crazy.
I could get you into some of this wildness with Sekhmet. So, in the ancient Greek sources, we don't have a direct connection to Sekhmet herself. We have a connection to another cat goddess, Bastet. So if you look at, there's a text called, you need to read this text. Ammon quotes it all the time. Anytime he's talking about Isis, he's usually quoting this text. Sometimes he's quoting the Golden Ass, either Lucian's or Apuleius's, but it's called Osiris and Isis by Plutarch, where he talks about the Egyptian mysteries and their connection to the Greek ones, and he connects Bastet. But where this gets interesting is, like, for example, I was talking to that scholar, Dr. Kyla Arianescu, and she showed me this amazing temple, okay? And this is a temple that's in Alexandria, in Egypt, and it was called the Cave of Artemis in Greek, the Spios Artemidos. But in the Egyptian, this was a place for this goddess called Paket, and Paket was a syncretization of Sekhmet and Bastet. So this was a place where Sekhmet, Bastet, and Artemis were worshipped as one in ancient Alexandria. So yeah, you're
I'm gonna watch the interview. I'm gonna watch the interview
tradition.
with the Australian, in Australia again tonight, bro. Like he gave me like it was so crazy what he was talking. So I was like, okay, whatever. but
Yeah.
but yeah, absolutely. And then it makes a lot of sense with what you were saying about the how it moves, like because somehow you are trying to follow in the knowledge and the technology, isn't it? That's what you
Yeah.
like.
Well,
You're
like
trying to follow.
there's also like clear there's clear allusions to this. For example, like for example, if you ever heard of you ever read the Gigantomachy, the story
No.
of the Gigantomachy? Like everyone wants to put down the myths, but if you read the myths, they tell you it all. There's a part in the Gigantomachy where, you know, they defeat most of the giants, but then, you know, the big boss comes out, you know, Python or what's his name? Anyway, things start getting really, really bad in the Gigantomachy, and the gods run and they flee to Egypt and they transform into animals. They transform into animals. So they give you these direct parallels. The Greeks saw the Egyptian gods and them as one and the same, their mysteries as one and the same. And
Yeah.
this goes back into the earliest of traditions.
Yeah.
A lot of scholars want to tell you that this is an Alexandrian Greek creation. No. Where did Pythagoras get his information from? Egypt. They all tell
Okay.
you the same,
I know what you mean.
right? They all
Yeah,
tell you the
that was
same thing.
well, it's like the conception of Alexander the Great. It's like
Right.
a big one. Like the
Well, you know,
Egyptian guy. It was an Egyptian guy. It was an Egyptian priest. Who was there with this is a crazy one, eh?
right. Well, we get, you know,
What's
the
it
Alexandrian romances get into some serious magical occult literature
also?
and stuff. And it gets all kinds of wild. Once you start talking about Alexander, you know, it gets insane because that impacts everything. You see
Mhm.
the creation of Jesus in these myths as well, right? This is the big, you know, the height of the heroic tradition in the Greek literature is with Alexander, and things get really, really wild, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, in Samothrace, we obviously we're we're going into that idea, like what is all about this crazy stuff that happened here?
well, we should start to
Vega.
wind down, and I want to ask you about this because, you know, Samothrace is the early, like, this is the seed of the Pelasgians. This is the earliest of the Greek mysteries, and this is the cult of Hera and the Coriobantes of the Kurites. What is your perspective on the Samothracian mysteries now that you've gone there?
Well, this is the topic that was like you don't talk about the freaking island, but I can tell you, like the whole team, like because it's obviously a big important things that happened to us for the project that are
Right.
being,
I don't want
you
you to
know,
spoil the
I'm
movie.
just a producer, man, so I can I cannot tell you everything, but what I can tell you from my own perspective, if you are, that's the question. If you're interested, I can tell you what I felt in the island,
Right.
which it was, well, it was not in the plan. I was going to Thessaloniki, so I had this conversation with the connection that I had there. This woman with a guy, and at the end of the conversation, she tells me, "But you should call this person." And so at the end, just like we're saying bye bye or whatever, and she gives me an email. Oh no, she tells me I want to send her an email, and then if she's interested, I will give you an email. So I forgot about it. Then I received an email, and I talked with this one, and it was that island. So when I was talking with this woman, I was like, I was not understanding the pronunciation of Samothracia that she was saying to me. So I was like, okay, whatever, it's an island. And then it's like, what you mean, like Samothracia, which you will say in Spanish, Samothrace. And I was just read about this that morning. I don't remember what I was reading about something, and Samothrace was coming up because it comes out not that much, but if you go for it, you will see it everywhere. It's like everywhere. Samothrace mystery was like huge thing, like back in the day. So,
The oldest mystery,
so
right?
and the old gods,
Right.
and you know, in the island
The
still the
secret hidden
Serpents.
words that are no one knows.
Mhm. And the actual thing that happened, like there is something about script and everything about there, but also what happened to the whole team, bro. I mean, it was not a normal place at all. It
No,
was very, no. I'm very, I have to be thinking about timing, car, ferry, this is what I'm doing when I'm there. But in the island, everything went a bit deorganized. Um, and some personal stuff happening to everybody. In my case, I loved it, but very, very powerful. Actually, all the people there will tell you there's a bunch of people leaving that are going to live there, and this all of this mystery idea of the mysteries of some race are very much something that everybody that goes there knows a bit about.
Right. You
And
told me,
you
wasn't there a
have
modern witch
you,
living there you met?
I met we interviewed her,
Wow.
and she is living there now. Um, it's a philosopher, Australian philosopher, and a Colombian witch, and they
Wild.
met in the island, and now they are both of them got divorced, each one in their own freaking continent,
Oh,
and
wow.
they're living there. So and she, yeah, well, you cannot know. I mean, like you can go crazy with this stuff also. I'm not
Oh,
saying
yeah, of
like,
course.
but the island is all about that, and there has a pole, and you can feel very not comfortable, or maybe you will feel like you want to stay. That's what they will say to you all the time.
Right.
Like the island will throw
Claim
you
you.
away, or it will not let you go.
Oh, wow.
And well, I just can tell this like from my perspective. I was going to like it was like we already had everything we needed at some point, so we need to keep moving.
Mhm.
And one day passes, 2 day passes, we're not moving. Everyone is dispersed. We were living in the middle of a forest. Everybody's naked. Uh, like you are living in it. It's not a normal place, at all. So, and it's cool. And for me, and then when we actually started to move, and somebody will ask me if I was going, every time that I was, because we met a bunch of people, so sometimes we were going, and also because of the movie, people knew that we were filming. So some
Mhm.
people wanted to talk with us, and we
Right.
did.
Excited.
And we were going to restaurants with some people, whatever, like from the island that are living there, people from the US buying land, people from the Europe buying land. Like all the people that is going a bit like on this stuff, you can see there is something that is maybe a bit superficial, but also you will have like the real stuff going on there. So, well, anyways, what I was trying to say is like every time that I was asked, "Are you going now? You want to stay? You want to go? How you feel?" And, like the typical question, and that was crazy because I knew that we were going, but I didn't want to
Right.
really. So I was like, no, yeah, we have to go now because we cannot keep filming. And I was feeling like I was going to break like to break a bit, and kind of started crying, man. And it happened to me like 2 or 3 times. I was
Oh, wow.
laughing with the guys after that, but it happened a bunch of times. It was very emotional. What I mean is like the island was very emotional. Some of us were like, I need to get out of this freaking place. And when we're in the ferry going, and you are seeing the island going, it's like, fuck. But, like, it's really something physical, something physical that happened. Also because it was a lot of new stuff for us, like the project was at the end of that expedition, so also there's a bunch of things going on at the
It's the
same time.
fulfillment. Everything you hit
Yeah,
the apex,
yeah,
right?
and plus you have to know in Samothrace everybody's naked, you know.
Right. Right.
So
You
at
were
the
telling
same
me there
time
was a
you're
nudist
and,
colony.
and, and you're walking naked everywhere, like it was nakedness everywhere. So it feels like very what we were looking for at that point. Like, yeah, but the thing is, it's an amazing place. I would love to go back, and it was
Right.
important part of it. Which all of the other ones, man. I mean,
Of course.
we did thousands of kilometers in
Right.
by
You guys
land
went all around the
and
Greek
island.
coast, right?
Well, now we are programming because this probably will need to travel again. But yeah, we did as much as we could. Um, you can be a lifetime, I guess, filming over there. So we're trying to not go too crazy with keep going and keep going, because we want actually to have a first piece
Right, right.
2027. So that gives us a year of keep doing stuff. Now we have to do a lot of stuff in studio.
Yeah, what are you working on now? So you were telling me that you had finished most of the on-site filming, and now are you guys working on the reenactments? Like, what stage of the production are you guys at?
Yeah, that's what we're doing now here in Chile, because it's like the organization is better for all of us, because the director is here. For me, we decided to do it here. So we are doing reenactments that are being filmed here in Chile now for this first half of the year. And yeah, we are doing some reenactments that obviously, if I tell which ones, I'll be probably punched in the face by my brother. But the thing is, the thing is, yeah, you need it a bit, and he wants
Right,
to do it. He wants to do
right.
it. We're being guided to
Guided.
be, yeah, to be as accurate as we can, with obviously the liberty that an artist has.
Of course,
So,
of course.
but you cannot have a better script.
Right, right. You guys got the wild man translator himself to give you the mystery and all of its gory
Yeah,
detail.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, man. That's why we keep dreaming about it, and we're thinking about it, awake and sleeping.
Wow. So 2027 is when the film is going to come
2027.
out. And
Yeah, we're
that's
working now. We're
go ahead.
actually working now during the year. We're working in a 4-chapter series, but it is going to be more about info. I will love to. This project has to do with. I want to introduce like to Spanish speaking people all of this. So I've been
Right.
talking with Ammon, and he's helping us to do it. And yeah, we are going to release a 4-chapter series of what we think is important for you. But it's not a training, but it's a bit of like introducing you, for you to be able to, when you watch what we are working on, you'll be able to understand what you're seeing. This is a bit like what we were talking about, like Esquilos before. Obviously, it's not the
Right.
same, but you need a bit of understanding a bit. I know
Of
it
course.
now because I've been trying to explain this to so many people that
You've gotten used to it now.
when I need, something for the project, I have to go and sit and explain all of this.
Man, yeah, but the producer's got to sell it. You not only do you got to explain it, you've got to
Also,
make
yeah,
it sound good.
also. So that's what we're doing this year. We're releasing this 4-chapter series in our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is new. It's very
Mhm.
small. Just have one trailer there, the trailer of the movie. But in that one, we are going to. We're actually doing it next week, and then we will release these 4 chapters at first. Maybe it will be more. It will depend on what is going on. But the whole idea of it is to give information about it, a bit of background of what is all of this, what is philology, who is Dr. Ammon Hillman, to people here, who like, what is this
Beautiful.
cult all about? What is
Right.
this,
Culture, right? What's the culture all
culture?
about?
Yeah, yeah,
No, I get what you mean.
yeah,
That's one
yeah.
of those words where it's like, if you go
It's
back
just
to
a
its
joke,
Greek,
but
yeah, I know. It's great, but
it's because there is one chapter is called the cult. That's what I thought about it. It's
oh,
called the
amazing.
cult. One of the chapters, and it talks about well, we need, you know what I mean when I say the cult. I mean the cult.
Yeah.
It's not just one. It's an idea. It's something that
But when I
we
hear
need
the
to tell
cult,
the whole story. We need to tell the whole story. We
yeah, when I
cannot
hear
just
that
tell
word
the.
cult, I think it's important, right? It's beautiful because to me it connects to the mystery, to the Great Mother. It comes from the word culture, it cultivate, right? And the Samothracian and the Eleusinian mysteries are all about Demeter. You know,
Yeah.
it all goes back to this stuff, and it's all about sex. It's all about the propagation of life, right?
And to go to this other side
Right.
and have your own idea after.
Yeah.
So nobody will tell you what is that. You will go
Right.
and you will see for yourself. So that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. No, you're
Yeah,
really
that's
doing the good work. You're gonna show people exactly what this is about. So people should subscribe to your channel, and you'll be releasing 4 parts on your channel. Is that correct?
yes, yes, yes. If they resonate with what we're doing, of course, you can follow us. Is Stones and Serpents. That's the name of it, and it's a small channel. We're just starting with this. This is my second time talking with somebody like so. Very appreciating this, man. Thank you.
Oh,
Because
thank
this is
you.
like,
Thank you. This has been a great interview. You have so much knowledge to share, and I'm so excited for the project. The last kind of thing I want to ask is when the
Mhm.
project is finally done, how do you intend to is it going to be released on television? Are you going to be releasing it through YouTube? How would people go about purchasing or supporting you, and how can they find this product when it's finally released?
Okay, that's a huge question.
Yeah.
So, well, this is being discussed all the time, because there's different formats that you can do it.
Mm,
The point always will be as much people that can see this, the better,
right.
But also at the same time, how can you achieve that? So you have different approaches. As I'm working with the vision of a director with a team of artists, of course, the first option will be to going into independent documentary festival. And what happens with that is that I cannot release it any other place till this piece is
It runs
on
its
this
course.
festival.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So that gives you a time frame. And
Mm.
that time frame will be like, let's say, 6 months that you cannot release just your trailer, everything you want, but is competing in some kind of format. So you have different ones. You have like independent documentary, experimental movie, or it's
Right.
endless. So the thing is, you have these things that they will ask, from technical stuff to subject, where this is being done. So at the same time, we're doing intercontinental co-production, so with musicians that are like Greek, Maltese, Chilean, US musicians. So we're doing something that is very crossing
It's a
multicultural
massive
stuff.
project. It's
So
a
the thing
massive
is,
project.
yeah, but it's not massive like in the way that we're moving a lot of, like we're very small production, but
Number of people
the
is small.
people
Scope.
are very interested. Yeah,
Right.
and I don't have 100 people in the US. I have like
Right.
2 contacts, 2 in, it's like we're doing it. But what I'm trying to say is like it has this multicultural how can you say it, like that will give you also possibilities to show what you're doing in cultural, even like teaching. I don't know how to say it in Spanish, but you will be in a different, you could be able to put your product in for teaching stuff,
Right.
for cultural value, for multicultural connection from, so there's a bunch of layers that we can and not layers, let's say dimensions that we can go with it. So what am I going to do with it? I have no idea yet, man. I'm just making this happen. And we have to keep filming. We have to keep casting actors, doing music with musicians that we have very right minds on the project about music. Also, that part of it is very strong now. So
Amazing.
thing is just
It's
keep
a long ways
working.
away still, that part. But
Just
you
keep
want to make
working.
sure that it's
I've been
accessible.
having. What I'm going to make. I'm making sure absolutely is that we are completely independent. I'm not. We don't have any kind of censorship on the stuff we're doing. We will decide what we do. So let's say if some person wants to give me a bunch of money to do this, but I cannot touch some religious stuff, I will not go for it.
Right.
The first thing is the project we have, and we're very clear in what we're doing. As it might sound that we're changing a lot, yeah, we're doing it, but we know the north we're pursuing. So that's what I can tell you. I mean, we are completely independent. We are not censored by anybody. Nobody will tell us what to show, what not to show.
I love that.
And we want to show it to everybody. That's the main goal.
All right. Okay.
To be everywhere.
Beautiful. So everyone, make sure you go and you subscribe to Stones and Serpents so you can get updates. Bruno will be releasing his 4 parts of the movie pretty soon on that channel, and you can keep up to date with everything that they're doing. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with? Any final comments or thoughts about this project that you want people to take home with them?
Yeah, but like what I was saying before, I think is very important. We are doing this by our own means. So we're doing it with people that are interested on it. So everyone is a bit part of it. If you are interested in what we are doing, that's like we are working together. We don't have anybody telling us what we have to do. We just want to show what this text is giving us. And we're a bunch of artists that they have their own vision of how to create a piece of art, but taking us the most important, the blood of that would be the text, let's say. I mean, that's why it's a documentary. It's not fiction. It's a piece of art using something that we already have. Just have to go and see it. So if people resonate with what we are doing, I mean, the only thing is just stay tuned for us to show you what we are doing. And also a lot of people is been helping us to do the research. Yourself, this is very helpful for us, Snappy, so we're very grateful. And yeah, that's Madalena is also helping us.
Right.
So,
Everyone go and support Bruno. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Stay tuned to his stuff. We really appreciate you. Bruno, you're one of us. One of these artists inspired by Ammon, inspired by the classics. So, of course, we have to support you and your work of your incredible team. We're really excited to see what you have in store for us. So, thank you so much for coming. This has been a truly amazing experience. Really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, Snappy. Thank you.
All right.
I hope I didn't talk like too bad English. I'm doing my best.
You spoke clearly and elegantly, and we appreciate your perspective. So thank you for sharing it with us. You're a beautiful soul. Really appreciate you. So one last time, subscribe to Stones and Serpents and support Bruno and their team. This is a really important documentary. It'll be beautiful. And with that, peace and love, everyone, and have a good night. Take care.
3 hours.